And we start today's broadcast activities on this program after the great LFG show. We have a final. It is a final now in Omaha, Nebraska. As I reported to you yesterday, watch out for those Duquesne Dukes. We have our first 11-6 upset, and it's in Omaha in the East Regional. How about those Duquesne Dukes? First time ever, and they are dancing on to the next round. 71-67, Duquesne beats BYU. And what are we doing? We're dancing, Robin. We are dancing. I am jacked. I am jacked up because I'm about to hit my first parlay of the NCAA tournament, Robin. I'm on fire. Dare I say, in fuego, as someone once said. Tony Bruno, Miss Robin here. Give me a little dancing music, Robin. Dancing in the streets, dancing in the dark. That's I'm still standing. Well, Duquesne's still standing.
Sorry, folks.
Do I have to give you one of these this early in the game?
You know what?
I said I want some dancing music. Not I'm still standing.
I know. Hold on. I wrote I'm still dancing, and then that's what came up, and I just started playing it, even though I know that song.
Can you bring this up so I can give you one of those out of the gate, Robin? I'm watching 4 games. How many games at the same time? I'm trying to keep track. I'm locked in, loaded. I'm about to hit my first parlay, and I may have 2 parlay hits before this show is over today, Robin, and that's really all that matters. It's about gambling. And speaking of gambling, we got a lot of gambling to talk about today and dancing. So Duquesne advances Saturday in Omaha, Nebraska. They will play the winner of the Illinois-Moorhead State game, which is about to start this afternoon. So there we go. We got our first 11 seed moving in. It used to be the 12-4s and the 15-3 upsets. People said, watch out for the 11s. Watch out for the 11s, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Tony, you need to turn on your other light because you are
Am I in the dark?
You are in the dark.
Am I dancing in the dark? How about that? Speaking of that, do you see Bruce Springsteen? The dude looks like he's got. Did he transform into Tilda Swinton?
I swear to
Bruce
God,
Springsteen looks like Tilda Swinton now.
I did not know you could do this, but I swear he got Botox in his chest because it is so smooth.
Now I know it was sick, but I'm sick of Springsteen. Let's be honest. I'm not a Springsteen guy. Listen, he has a couple of hits that I like. I'm not sitting through 3 hours of Bruce Springsteen whining all night. So screw Bruce Springsteen. If you want to go see him, go ahead. I'm not the boss. He's no longer the boss of me. Tony Danza's more of a boss to me than stinking Bruce Springsteen. Get out of my face with your fake chest and your hair. What did you do, shave your chest? Is he transitioning now?
I don't know, but hold on. Let me find
Give me Dancing in the Dark, though, Robin. I'll play a little Springsteen today.
Well, this one's good. This is Still Dancing. This is called Still Dancing by Clover.
Clover? Get the hell out. Robin, you are absolutely wrecking this show already. And we're only 4 minutes. There's so many great dancing songs, and you don't even play a decent one.
But we played Dancing in the Dark already.
No, we didn't. I would have yelled because that's Springsteen, and I'm not a Springsteen guy. But give me this. This is the one where what's-her-name's dancing in it, right? The chickie that...
This was the live version. So.
No, but who's dancing in the video? Remember when he did this song? And she's a celebrity and she was dancing?
I don't know.
God, Robin, your knowledge of music
I know.
is just absolutely horrific. I mean, this is the biggest day of the basketball season. You know, we got so many dancing songs. Dancing in the Dark.
Okay, I want to turn this off for a second.
Slow Dancing in the Dark.
I'm gonna play Bruce Springsteen. He was just in Munich playing with the E Street Band live, and this was him baring his chest, which has caused the memes to go all over.
I don't care about his chest. I want dancing songs.
Well,
I'll rip Springsteen later, for Christ's sake.
You were just talking about
I don't care about his chest. Everybody knows it's a day-old story.
All right, okay.
Let's get it back to the damn dance. Give me some dancing music, damn it. Jesus Christ. My head's going to explode already.
Yes, clearly.
You know how hard it is to keep track of 4 games at the same time, Robin? Are you keeping track of the games for me? No, I'm doing it because that's my job. Your job is to play music and get in and out of breaks. Holy shit. I feel like the...
Holy shit.
I feel like, what's his name, in Christmas Vacation.
I know you
when he goes at the end, you know, when Clark W. Griswold starts screaming, and then he says, I need a Tylenol.
Because he got a Fruit of the Month Club?
Yeah, and then he went crazy. I don't have that in my machine now, but if I did, I would play that and dedicate it to you, Robin.
You are so sweet.
Unbelievable. Hallelujah. I do need some Tylenol now, Robin. I woke up with a migraine today, and now I'm starting the show with a migraine after I've been up since 5:30 this morning, but I'm still cranking the energy here. So anyway, I'll keep you up to date on the games. I told you Duquesne has beaten BYU earlier today in the absolute lock of the tournament so far. Right out of the gate, my boy Tom H. to the Izzo. Tom Izzo, who never, ever loses early in the NCAA tournament. That one was manna from heaven. Then does manna still come from heaven, Robin?
Yes.
Only during Passover and Lento, I think, right? That's it. Give me a little safety dance, yeah.
This was thanks to Mangled Mush, who suggested this.
Well, Robin, there's a million Dancing Queen. I mean, there are more dancing songs than there are any other songs. I could reel off 50 dancing songs.
I played one. You just didn't happen to like it.
It was a song nobody's ever heard of. We play the hits here, Robin, not the B-sides, not the fringe shit that you hear on some of these other stupid radio stations. This is the NCAA dance, man. By the way, their halftime, another live dog, Long Beach State. How about that? Halftime, Arizona, the 2 seed, 41-35. Remember, Long Beach State, that's a 2-15 game, a 2 seed versus a 5. Long Beach State fired their coach, and then they kept him around, and now he's playing against Arizona. So is Long Beach State a live dog? I mean, they don't even have to win. All I need them to do is cover the number. I mean, right now, if Shohei Ohtani were listening to the show, he'd be all over my picks. If he wants to win money and help his buddy, the guy that got fired because he was his interpreter, and then somehow we don't know whether his interpreter was paying off bets or Shohei Ohtani knew that his interpreter took the money. It turned out to be that the guy fleeced him out of his own personal money without him knowing it. That's one of the you'll have in sports, and sports gambling is big. That's what we're talking about, the NCAA tournament, baseball starting.
We have an entire timeline that we can break down.
Yes, we do. And we will have a guest on, the great Daniel Wallach. He's a partner with Dan Lust, who we have on all the time from Dan Lust Law. He and Daniel Wallach do the Conduct Detrimental podcast every week. And if there was ever a day, what a perfect day to talk about gambling. And not all good news about gambling. And listen, gambling is what makes the NFL more popular. It's why people are sitting at home today or in bars all over the country and betting on games. Gambling is legal in most places now, but it's still illegal. For example, Shohei Ohtani's bodyguard, interpreter, good friend, we will get into that story, Robin, because that story changes hourly. Have you noticed?
Yes.
When it started, it was, wow, his interpreter, who he's known for a long time, a personal friend, somehow got into his bank account
and embezzled money.
And embezzled $4.5 million from Shohei, who makes $400 million when he wakes up in the morning. And then it became, well, wait a minute. Is Shohei Ohtani know that his guy is his interpreter taking a fall for him because he's paying off a gambling debt? Or was it Shohei Ohtani, the one who was gambling, and then using his interpreter to pay the bookies without money out of the account?
Well, we'll go over the timeline, and then when Daniel Wallach comes on in about an hour, he can explain why there's the nuances between what the original narrative was and what the changed narrative is and what the consequences are of each. And there might be a reason why the story has changed.
Yeah, and we'll get into that because that's an unbelievable. We have NBA gambling questions now. The Cleveland Cavaliers coach, J.B. Bickerstaff, threatened by a fan, because now in some arenas, you can bet in the arenas. There's books in the arenas. Remember when we talked about this years ago? There were 1 p a day where you can sit at a game and then bet on the game as you're sitting there watching it. It's already happening in some arenas. And in the NBA, in the Cleveland Cavaliers arena, they got action going on, and now some of the action has led to a threat against J.B. Bickerstaff. And then we have Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers talking about he's just a prop, and he doesn't care if you lose $1,000 betting on him in the prop bets. He realizes that he's out there and fans are betting for or against him. And then he basically took a shot at the fans. And oh, by the way, Tyrese, you're a great player. But guess what? Without all these gambling endorsements and all this money being pumped into the sports leagues, that's how you're getting $250 million salaries. Because the gambling companies who take money from losing bettors and make that money and then pay the NBA for their rights, pay the NFL for their rights, and then pay all these sport leagues for the rights so that they can pimp their gambling product. So that you, NBA players, can make $50 million a year, NFL players can make $60 million a year. So if you're going to disrespect fans who are betting on you, and then, by the way, somebody posted a graph of all the times, how many bad nights he's had, and when you bet the over/under on Tyrese Halliburton threes or whatever. The guy's a great player. I'm not taking anything away from these players, but if they're going to start bitching about gambling, then maybe you should take a pay cut. Maybe how about you stop playing? How about you protest and don't play any more games in the NBA until they get rid of the gambling? Stop having casinos. Stop having fans bet in arenas. Then maybe you'll play for $3 million a year. Is that okay? Because that's what's paying your salary, strappers. That's why I hate the NBA. That's why it's a joke. But what they did, the degenerate gamblers, I'm not defending them. J.B. Bickerstaff was actually threatened by a fan inside the arena because he called a timeout and somebody was pissed off that they needed another basket. This is what gambling does to degenerates. And luckily, I'm not a degenerate. I'm just sort of like a drinker. I'm a casual degenerate gambler. But I don't bet every day. And people that bet every day, the bottom line is this: you don't win. People who bet every day normally lose more than they win. And maybe you get on a hot streak. I'm on a hot streak right now. I'm going to make enough money to put a second deck on the house. The ground is finally broken. But let me give you up to date. We'll get to the gambling stuff because that's an amazing story. Also, we will rip the NIT again today because we've been talking to coaches over the last few days about, should your team play in the NIT if they don't make it into the NCAA tournament? And we saw last night, and I ripped Dean, and then he sent me a message this morning about how bad Indiana State was after I ripped Virginia yesterday. Remember? I told him, the Indiana State team, they showed up in their NIT game last night, and they laid a biblical beatdown. They dropped 6 triple figures on their opponent last night. So don't give me any of this crap about Indiana State didn't belong there. Yes, they did, and they showed it last night. And they helped me cover, which is more important because it's all about me and my gambling and my teasers and my pools and all that other stuff. Everybody thinks that you care about anybody else's office pool or anybody else's parlays. I just do it for entertainment purposes and showing off purposes because now we're in the nitty-gritty time. Now I separate the men from the boys, the girls from the men who think they're girls from the girls, the men who go in Planet Fitness bathrooms to shave and then get a woman upset and then the woman has her. So we figured it out, Robin. This Planet Fitness story is a big deal.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So, and a lot of people are talking about Planet Fitness. And if you want to go to Planet Fitness, go ahead.
But they've lost over $400 million.
I know they have. But here's the best part.
Value.
It's hard when you get a plan, when you get one of these subscriptions or you pay for a gym, right?
Yes.
People always do it around New Year's. It's a resolution. Yeah. I'm going to join a gym January 1st. I'm going to go in and work out.
And what's the one thing that is the most difficult to do?
Is to get out of that memo. Oh, it's only $5 and we are no judgment in here.
It is.
And so the guy goes into the bathroom, a women's room. I think this was in Alaska, right?
Yeah, but you try to cancel one of your
You
memberships.
can't.
You can't. Like, it is because they always convince you to do auto pay because it'll be cheaper.
Exactly. And then you forget to make and then it comes out every month and you're still paying. And by the way, by February 1st, you don't go to the gym anymore.
And you're like,
especially in cold weather cities.
Thing.
Especially in cold weather cities. Oh, it's too cold. I don't want to walk in the
But
gym.
this woman,
we got snow for the first time in 5 years. You think I'm going to go walk to Planet Fitness and work out now? It's like 20 degrees outside.
But
so anyway, here's the thing. If you're a woman, and I speak for women, Robin, real biological women, not dudes who dress up like women and go into women's rooms dressed up as a man.
Well, this woman was speaking out for a young girl who happened to be in the dressing room.
Exactly. That's my point. So if you want to get your Planet Fitness or any other gym membership canceled, you become a woman, you go into Planet Fitness, and if you see a dude in the ladies' room shaving, waxing his balls, whatever he's doing in there, and he's obviously a dude, then you call him out. Yes. And then Planet Fitness will cancel your membership for complaining about a man being in the ladies' room.
Finally.
There's the answer. Just say, who speaks out for women more than this reporter, Robin? Nobody. I'm a real feminist. All these fake feminists who let men take over women's sports. You're not a feminist. You're a stinking loser. We went from feminist to fembots who don't give a shit about women's rights anymore. They only care about the right to abortion, not the right for women to defend themselves when they're playing sports.
If you ignore women who have serious concerns, then you are a misogynist.
Exactly right.
I mean, that's pretty much easy.
So there's your tip for the day. You want to get your gym membership canceled? If you're at Planet Fitness,
complain about a dude.
Be a woman, complain about a dude, or have a guy that you know just go in the ladies' room, right? Because they're not going to get, because the policy says you're not allowed to rip the guy who's a guy, apparently, obviously a guy. It's not because he's wearing a dress or high heels. The guy was shaving his face.
Yeah.
And so the woman complained because a little girl saw him in there. And then the woman who complained about the dude got her subscription canceled.
Can I just ask a question?
So she's the winner of the week right now,
Can
Robin.
I ask a question?
Absolutely. This is a question show, question and answer show.
I started thinking about it. I'm trying to, because I mean, I've joined gyms over the years. I've had many gym memberships and I've frequented them. I cannot remember one single time that I've ever shaved at the gym. I've never shaved my legs. I haven't shaved my pits. That's something that do.
Have you ever done the landing strip in the gym?
No, not at the gym. Like you do that at home when you have all your product around. You only go to the gym if you're using the shower. You're just rinsing off so you get the sweat off. The
exactly.
Stink off. I can seriously. I'm like trying to remember all the time. I've never shaved at the gym. Now, is it different for men? Men out there, have you ever shaved at the gym?
The only time I ever shaved, when I used to play in golf tournaments when I was on the radio. You know, I did the morning show, so we got invited to a lot of celebrity golf tournaments, and they would normally tee off at like noon. So you didn't shave the night before. You know, you take your clothes. You take your clubs in your car and you take your clothes so that after you play, then you go in because there's usually like a dinner afterwards, you know, an award presentation. And you stick around for the dinner and the celebrity stuff.
And then you shave?
But no, you shave before you go to the dinner and change your clothes. So you go from sweating on a golf course and then you go inside and you shave. Mike Missinelli cleans my golf shoes for them. Mike Missinelli takes my shoes in and then shines them for me. The guy cleans my balls. He cleans my shoes. He cleans my clubs. He cleans my ass if I ask him to. They'll do anything as long as you got to take care of these people. You got to give them a nice tip, Robin.
Don Wallace says, "Can I go into a women's restroom at Netflix headquarters and get my subscription canceled?"
Exactly. So I'm helping women on the show. And let's be honest, most women aren't watching March Madness. Are there women who watch it? Yes. But is it mostly women? No. It's a bunch of dudes in bars or sitting at home with their sheets of integrity and watching the game. So let me get you up to date now. We told you earlier, Michigan State 69-51 earlier today in the first game of the day. So they move on. And, of course, one of the other games going on, the Akron Zips in the Midwest region in Pittsburgh. Creighton, obviously a favorite here, and one of the favorite teams and a lot of people who are looking for early upsets. Creighton, of course, which is a 3 seed, facing the Akron Zips, who are a 14 seed, and they're keeping it pretty close. And meanwhile, Arizona, a 2 seed, they're now in the second half of that game. That, of course, is in the Western NCAA first round in the West, up in Salt Lake City, I believe. And the Wildcats starting to pour it on a little bit. But give Long Beach State some credit. 52-37 now in the second half, not second quarter. And North Carolina up 10 on Wagner. That in the West first round game. And we'll keep an eye on that one for you. So those games are still in the first half. Arizona's in the second half now. And it is 55-37 Arizona Wildcats, the 2 seed out there. And I mentioned Duquesne beat BYU, and Creighton and Akron. That one is still going on. Carolina up 10 on Wagner, and we'll keep an eye on all the games for you. You won't miss anything if you just want to sit back and enjoy and have some fun, and we'll talk about the gambling scandals and everything else going on. Just keep it right here on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Because I got the Quattro box
yes.
on. How many games at the same time, Robin? How many?
4.
There it is.
That's a delay again.
That's a real long delay,
wow.
Robin. It's ridiculous.
We need to figure out why. But, Tony, the reason why I did not have your dancing songs on the ready was because I
commandeered the big screen today.
Yeah, and
it's rare that we have 4 games at the same time in the afternoon, Robin.
But
There's only one thing better than 4 games at the same time when we're doing an afternoon show.
I know.
And you know what that is, Robin, don't you?
Always.
What is it? Exactly right. Come on.
But I had to scramble to find another monitor and hook up the computer to this smaller monitor so that I could.
By the way, this tournament was not just announced this morning.
No,
this
I know
thing
that.
has been planned for months.
But you at the last minute said I need to have.
Of course, I need to have the games on. This is Pete. I tell you, Pete Sheppard's not listening because I know he's at home watching. If Pete Sheppard were in here right now, he would be absolutely apoplectic that these 4 games are not on. I have them on for you, ladies and gentlemen, not for Robin, not for any other slapdick who doesn't have a pool or doesn't give a shit. This is important. And when it's important, I'm here to report. And then you decide and look at your pools and look at your stinking parlays and all that other stuff. All right?
But I got it.
You got you see, because I can't see the text board.
Yes.
So what's going on?
So
anybody?
Mangle Mush is saying a gym shower is gross. I'll shower at home. Everyone's sweat is all over it.
No, you're going to a nice country club. I don't mean you go to a Muni. They got beautiful. I mean, I used to go to these really nice clubs.
But they don't have all the accoutrement. They just have like shower gel.
No, you're going to dumps. I'm going to Pebble Beach. I'm going to all these nice joints, even the Philadelphia tracks, Marion.
Any women listening, please call in.
I know what dirty gyms are. I don't go into dirty locker rooms.
352-234-TONY. 352-234-8669.
Anytime you go to a golf course,
8669.
Where they have,
let us know.
Where they have a guy taking, as soon as you come off the course, they take your bag and clean all your clubs. Their showers are clean.
Yes.
Okay, and they don't just have. The stupid bar soap that everybody shapes and drops in the, we don't drop the soap in the country clubs I go to, Robin. Those are different country clubs in Center City, Philadelphia.
Only if you want to.
Exactly. Not that there's anything wrong with that, if that's what you choose to do. Meanwhile, 3:28 now in the second half. Creighton holding a 12-point lead over the Akron Zips. Remember, Akron won 24-10. I bet you LeBron is like glued to this game right now. Meanwhile, Duquesne putting their name into the next bracket up on the tournament board. Slapping that baby down is the Dukes. You got to give Duquesne some major, major love, Robin. The Dukes. Not Duke's mayonnaise. Not the Duke, John Wayne. Not the Dukes of Hazzard, Robin.
Oh, that's a good one.
Give me some other Dukes. Not Daisy Dukes.
The Duke of Earl.
The Duke of Earl. How about Daisy Dukes?
Daisy Dukes?
Yeah, this is some good Duke knowledge right here.
No, that was the Earl of Sandwich.
Duke of Earl. The Earl of Sandwich, Robin. No, that's a scam likely.
Ladies
and gentlemen, I am now, my bookie's calling in. I think it's Shohei Ohtani's, but he comes in as scam likely, so he can be a subterfuge. So nobody will know that it's actually him. So I'm going to hang up on scam likely because I don't believe that. That's probably Shohei Ohtani wanting to know who I have later on since I'm on fire right now. I have not lost one game, Robin. I got multiple parlays going. I'm one win away from cashing my first one because when I did it yesterday, the game that I have, the last one standing. I got to post this, Robin. I know people don't like it, but this is just think of me as your friends who play fantasy football, and then they come in on Monday morning and they want to show you their team and their league and how well they're doing. I don't do that in football season. I tried it for a couple of weeks, and then I said, get that face out. Get out of my face with that crazy shit, okay? Nobody cares about your fantasy team. Nobody cares about your NCAA pool, but you care about mine. And this is why, Robin. Because here's what I have right now. It's only a $20 parlay to pay out $170. I had Grambling State. Boom, cash it. Indiana State minus 3.5. Bam! Winner. Chicken mother humping dinner. And those are expensive now. Then last night I had the Milwaukee Bucks against the Celtics getting points. Plus 14, easy peasy. I had Colorado last night in the 10-10 game, laying a point. Colorado, boom, easy. I had the Golden State Warriors against the dreadful Memphis Grizzlies, laying 7. Boom. Winner number, what one is that? That's winner number 5. This is a 7-bet teaser. So I got the Warriors, Michigan State today, plus 2.5. Boom. Easy winner. The only thing remaining for me to cash that first $170 ticket, Robin, is Samford tonight, not Sanford and Sons.
Which is your ringtone, by the way.
Damn right. Kansas against Samford tonight. I'm getting 11.5 points tonight with the 13-seed Samford against the 4th seed Kansas. Rock, chalk, Jayhawk, suck. They're not that good. They're banged up. Samford, live dog tonight. I'm cashing that ticket tonight, Robin. That is a guaranteed, stone cold, lead pipe lock. Holler at your boy. And then I have a second parlay going on right now, Robin. Michigan State, ready cashed. Duquesne, cashed. I got Long Beach State plus 24.5. I got Morehead State getting 15.5 and Samford getting 11.5. That's going to be another $120 winner, Robin. We're rolling in the dough. I may have to announce my retirement and just go live on an empty lot in an RV and watch my house be built every single day. And then we'll bring out a little remote unit, and I'll sit there in the sunshine, and I'll have women fanning me, and I'll have them applying copious amounts of sunscreen and oils, and I'll smell good. And then people can come by with the fans, and what else would they have, Robin?
Painkillers.
Painkillers, grapes.
We were going to make a painkiller today, but we did not make it to the grocery store to buy
No, we didn't. Even though I've been up since 5:30. Meanwhile, 2 minutes and 27 seconds left. Looks like Creighton is going to win this game. The only question now is, will they cover the number? And that's all that really matters, Robin. Akron hanging in, 227. Meanwhile, Arizona up 59-41. Just really starting the second half. And we have North Carolina up 37-26 over Wagner in the last 2 minutes of the first half in that the West first round game. So we'll keep you up to date. You're not going to miss anything. We'll get into the whole gambling debacle going on. We'll get into NFL news today and also an anniversary of this day, a very special anniversary, and I was there for this one. We'll tell you about that and a bunch more. It is March Madness, baby! What are we doing dancing on the ceiling?
Yeah, we are.
You know who that is, right? Who is that, Robin?
Lionel
without the Commodores.
Correct.
That's after he told the Commodores, out of here! You're holding me back, boys. I'm dancing on the mother-humping ceiling right here on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. We're coming right back, children.
It was meant to be. Tony Bruno on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Let's twist on it.
Cream on the left, we get out of here. Cream on the right, we stay with those guys.
All right, people, we're on the move.
Let's go, Kevin. Get your spear.
I just feel like she doesn't take me seriously.
Don't say that.
Whoa! Can we help you?
I have a delivery for Athena.
You know any Athena?
I don't know any Athena.
Twist on it?
Yeah. Cream on the right, we let him in.
Oh! Welcome to Troy!
Open the gate.
Have fun in there!
Thank you.
Should we report this?
I just twisted on it! This never happened!
Cream on the left. program you to think for yourself, my boy.
You sure that's a good idea?
It's artificial intelligence. It's the worst that could happen.
Hello, Father.
Yeah, absolutely not.
What was that? Boy bands. They're gonna be huge.
Fine. Cream on the right, we're in.
Woo! So every little detail about our family will be on TV? Who would watch that?
All right, let me twist on it. Cream on the left will do the show.
Hope you can keep up.
Wait a minute. We could have been twisting on everything this whole time?
Yes. Since forever.
This is gonna make our job so much easier.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Next Day Carpet Installer.
Mr. Next Day Carpet Installer.
Because when we're jonesing for carpet, we're jonesing for it right now.
Totally jonesing.
Thanks to you, we have absolutely no problem buying carpet over the phone, sight unseen.
Just pick up the phone.
A near miracle. An entire basement of wall-to-wall shag in less time than it takes to order a pizza.
I like pepperoni.
Your motto, if you're a payin', I'm a layin'.
Oh, yeah!
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, king of the carpet men. You not only go the distance for us, you do it wearing knee pads.
Mr. Next Day Carpet Installer.
Bud Light beer and Anheuser-Busch. Now back to the biggest sports network on the planet, the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Oh, wait, I got to get the drumsticks out, right? We had a flagrant foul now in the Akron game. 77-60, 123 left. That game is all but over. Meanwhile, I'm keeping a close eye on this Arizona game because the number's 24.5, Robin. And you know what's happening here. How many points is Arizona leading by now, Robin?
Sorry, I'm... What?
19. And I suck at math.
Yeah.
That's the game up there in the corner. With Long Beach
it.
State, the colors on the screen, you can't even see the names because it's like a yellow background with white letters.
Yeah.
Bad job
That
by
is
CBS.
bad a job. They should have...
I know that's the color of the Long Beach State,
But
Robin.
white on yellow is not a good... It's not a good
Black
thing
and
on
yellow,
TV.
black and yellow. Of course, that's the Steelers' number, as we know. But anyway, minute 23 left. Creighton is going to win the game against the Akron Zips. And I'm sure LeBron somewhere is crying into a wet towel or a dry towel or at a barber shop where they put a nice towel over your face after you get that haircut, you get the nice lines, you get that line in your eyebrow. You know which ones I'm talking about there? Yeah. So tell your friends to join us right now as we will keep you up to date. We got the NFL wire going. We got anything you need here. We're not going to beat one story to death all day long. We're going to mix in. In the meantime, let me I gotta rip the Pardon My Take people. Now, you know I love Barstool. So I'm going to go back to the Villanova situation. So we talked about coaches, should these teams that didn't make the tournament go into the NIT or should they turn it down? Multiple teams did. St. John's did. Seton Hall played, and obviously they won. Villanova, they had zero interest. I mean, but what's below zero other than Alaska? Other than the frozen tundra in Green Bay in January. So how much did the Villanova Wildcat faithful up there at the Pavilion care about last night's NIT game? I'll give you an idea. Robin, can we pull that up? I want to get the Villanova game last night. And people were wondering, Villanova, would their fans, would the players and the coaching staff say, hey, guys, this is another chance to play another game. I mean, we're Villanova. Yeah, we didn't make the tournament, but this isn't beneath us. Playing in the NIT isn't beneath us. This isn't the Jay Wright Villanova Wildcats. This is the modern-day Villanova Wildcats. And let's see what happened last night. Roll the tape, Robin. Let's go to the pavilion and see the excitement, the thrill, the color, the pageantry, the electricity that is the pavilion.
Wow.
Up there on the main line, baby. Even Jim from Radnor, a mainline guy, I mean, it was absolutely empty. And Villanova then, just as excited as the players weren't, the fan base wasn't, and Villanova got smoked. How about that, huh?
That's pretty sad.
That's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
And what are these kids doing at Villanova? There wasn't 65% capacity.
Hell no.
Oh, yeah, it's a school night. They're resting up for class tomorrow. Come on, listen, I'm not a Villanova hater.
Joe Quills was like, I wonder if Villanova was on spring break.
No, they don't want to go to a meaningless game.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. Nobody cares. That's why it's the not important tournament. But I gave it up to Indiana State. Dean was giving me crap about Indiana State. You saw that they were pissed off. Villanova didn't give a shit. They really didn't belong in the tournament. You know, they were one of those fringe Big East teams. And so, you know, they weren't going to complain about not making the tournament. They didn't deserve to make the NCAA championship tournament. But that's an embarrassment. If you call yourself a college basketball school, that shows you. And listen, I'm not blaming the fans for not going. I wouldn't go either. It's Villanova. You got hot chicks all over the place. It's the main line. You got rich trust fund chicks walking all over the place with mansions in Marion and all these other joints. Jim from Radnor may invite you over to his house, which is a mansion as well, Robin. And Jim from Radnor, a Villanova guy, friend of the show. You know what I'm saying? And then the only thing worse than nobody caring about Villanova, and I don't care, I wouldn't care either. So I'm not ripping Villanova for not caring. I wouldn't care either if I went to Villanova. But meanwhile, VCU, right? Virginia Commonwealth University. And you know who else from Virginia played the night before, the team that can only score 14 points in a half? The Virginia Cavaliers. So if you think their fans and their people are douchebags down in Virginia, guess who's bigger douchebags? The VCU fans. Virginia Commonwealth University. Because after the game, this guy, I don't know if he works for, what's the podcast called, Robin?
I don't think he does.
Then why would they run this?
Pardon My Take.
Pardon My Take, which is one of the Barstool podcasts. They posted this. So they're taking ownership. Barstool Sports, with Pardon My Take, is taking ownership for this low-life scumbag VCU strapper. Let's play the tape. Let's show you the class of the VCU fans, Robin.
So, Dukes bro, just to let you know, we really enjoyed bending you over, spanking that ass, and fucking you and your whole team yet again. Did that prison spanking, did that prison fucking get good? Yes, it was. You enjoyed every minute of it, didn't you, baby? Don't mess with who runs the A10, bitch.
That's just
so real classy there.
Real classy.
Wasn't he in Deliverance? Wasn't he the guy that was getting in the ass in his mouth? He had a pretty mouth. Look at that guy.
Scream like a pig.
That Virginia boy down there, man, he's real classy, yo. That Virginia Commonwealth, bitch.
It's just...
Squeal like a pig, bitch. Squeal. This jerk off goes all the way up to Villanova to watch his crappy team win a meaningless game. And then he goes on, and then Barstool posts that. Talk about inbred strapazoids. Inbred losers. That's an inbred mutant. Is he not, Robin?
I would.
When you think of the term redneck,
that is
when you think of redneck loser bastards,
what I think of when I
that's
see
the guy that comes up to me.
That's somebody with no sportsmanship, none.
I get goofing off and stuff. I get talking trash. But when you play in an arena where nobody's there, the home team doesn't give a shit, and then you from the stinking Atlantic 10, which sucks too, and then you go in there and start talking trash like that? Why didn't he storm the court when VCU beat Villanova in an empty arena? What a joke. And then Barstool posted that. Hopefully Barstool posted that not to promote that asshole, but to expose that asshole. Because where would that where would that come from? Do we know who posted it?
I don't know. I don't know who it is. I'm not as familiar with all the Barstool
because normally,
people,
I don't know if that's a Barstool guy or not. And if he is, he's an embarrassment. And I get Barstool's edgy, and they're the best that's ever done this stuff as far as content and getting people riled up and shit. But that's Bush League.
That is.
If that was a Philadelphia guy that did that.
Oh, good Lord.
If that was a Villanova fan who did that, that would be all over the news. Look at those idiotic Philadelphia area fans. This mutant, redneck, half-breed, what would we call him? What would you call him? A guy who...
well, here, let's just allow the fans to give their responses.
Yeah, you can text in. You can text in live right now. 352-234-TONY. 352-234-866. The only 866. The only thing missing was the banjo music behind that guy.
Here we go. So there's a 91 Sixers. If Gruden and Sloth had a child, it would be this guy.
John Gruden's a good-looking man.
Timothy Philip McDevitt. What up, Ned Beatty?
What up, Deliverance boy?
Joe Quills. Inbreds haven't been this excited since Pittsburgh fans found out Duquesne was on the A-10.
Exactly. The Duquesne Dukes, I gave them love. I picked them. Outright.
Yeah. 91 Sixers. That redneck looks like he aggressively makes chili while listening to corn music. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not a big Korn fan. Remember the group Korn?
I need to know.
I like Korn, but not that kind of Korn. So anyway, the other game is over now. Let me give everybody up to date because it is a final now. And as we suspected, Creighton has taken out Akron, and Creighton has advanced now in the NCAA tournament. Let me get the final score up there so everybody can mark their pencils down. Morehead State and Illinois are underway now. That's in the East Regional. And, of course, there's another 3-14 matchup. The Illini, the 3 seed. Morehead State, another team that Tim Brando and I were talking about yesterday. They're up 17-13. So these lower seeds, and I agree with a lot of the people who were saying, listening to Pete Sheppard this morning, there's a lot of misseeding in this tournament. Not my seeding. When I plant my seeds, they all grow, and they're beautiful because I got a green thumb, as you know.
I hope you're not misseeding anymore because that would be a disaster.
No, I don't mean that kind of seeding. That seed is done. My demon seeds are done being spewed all over the world. Anyway.
You've sowed enough oats?
No, I never sow enough oats, Robin. But anyway, Arizona's up 70-51, 8 minutes left. Illinois just underway, as I mentioned, and Jay Wright is breaking it down. It's a good thing Jay Wright wasn't in Villanova last night to watch that debacle. He's in New York. And I'm sure he didn't even pay attention to that game last night. I didn't even turn it on. And that was a later game. And I'm sitting there, flipping around, watching stuff and hockey and basketball. And then all of a sudden, I said, let me see what the score in the Villanova game is. I'm like, dude, really? They didn't want to be there, Robin. But Keith Dambrot and your Duquesne Dukes, 5th season there, 0-1 in the NCAA tournament. And they got the victory, the first big upset of this tournament so far. Everything else has been pretty much, obviously Marquette. Creighton was favored over Akron in a 3-14 game. No upset there. And then we'll see what happens going on with the other game that I care about because I have it in one of my brackets. But give it up to Long Beach State. You down in the LBC? Hey, holler at your dogs out there. Long Beach. LBC for life, baby. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that.
We have texts coming in to 352-234-8669. That's 352-234-TONY.
Yep.
It's up on the screen if you would like to call or text in as well. John from Mayfair texting in, sitting on the sofa with a bag of frozen peas on my nuts, enjoying all the games today. Not because I had a vasectomy. It's just that I like college basketball and frozen peas.
By the time you get done, you're able to put them right in the bowl. They'll be warmed up. You don't want them to overcook those peas, John. Because when you put them in that hot area down there in the scrotum area, and it's I know it's not hot out, but it's warm enough inside. And those babies will heat up real nice. They'll start thawing out. By the time we get to like 5 o'clock, and remember, these games are going deep into the night tonight.
John from Mayfair is really paying attention today. He said, God, I wish I knew 25 years ago. I've been paying Bally's since 1998, and I can't seem to end that one, even after they went out of business 20 years ago. Yeah, just,
Anyway, let's get it back to, so I played the douchebag from the, I'm going to credit, they're going to own this. They posted it, so they own it. Barstool, pardon my take, you own that strapper from that guy, the inbred guy.
Call him out, whoever he is. Don't let him be anonymous, unless it's somebody that we just don't know he's actually from Barstool.
I don't think he is. I don't think Barstool has that many hay seats. You know what I mean?
But
enough about that. So let's get back to the because we got a couple of NFL stories too. I don't want to just make it all about basketball. We're keeping an eye on the games, and they're in timeouts. Moorhead State in the first timeout, up 17-13 in Omaha in the East against the Illini. And so we'll talk about it. We'll get the games, and we'll keep you up to date. I'm not going to give you every score up to date, every second somebody scores. We don't do that stuff here. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so in the NFL today, the Philadelphia Eagles have made another move. The Philadelphia Eagles have signed another wide receiver. Did you see that, Robin?
No.
And I know that's probably burning up the phone lines in Philly today because there's no Philadelphia area teams. Philly's one of those towns. It's a great college basketball town, and obviously there's a lot of people in sports bars watching these games. But when there's no Philly team involved, and now there's not anymore, even in the NIT, they're talking about the Eagles because they always get it back to the Eagles, Robin.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, Steve Chimenti is asking, saying, hey, how come you don't have Philly Godfather on the show? We do have him on the show a lot.
Absolutely.
Actually, but we just did not have him on today because we have two other guests that are talking.
Locked in and loaded.
Locked and loaded.
We're going to talk to Paul Allen. Speaking of Paul Allen in Minnesota, Minnesota's got a situation going on, too, where one member of the Timberwolves staff is in trouble. It's like, is there any sports organization, any league, any team, any player not in trouble with the law right now? It's amazing. It's amazing how many people are in trouble. And it's not just gambling. I mean, the Ohtani thing is just absolutely crazy. Well, and we'll get into that with Daniel Wallach when we talk about sports.
Should we go through the timeline before he comes on?
Daniel Wallach?
Yes, because
do you have the whole timeline?
I do.
It's really confusing, Robin.
It's actually the Yahoo Sports broke it down really, really well.
They don't usually break down things very well.
I know, but this
they
time
have a guy today writing in Yahoo Sports, right? Yahoo News, that Elon Musk talking to Don Lemon, that the guy that Don Lemon's the hero, Elon Musk is a white supremacist.
They have a lot of woke people.
Yeah,
but
it's a joke. Yahoo's a joke.
Jack Baer, who writes for sports, for Yahoo Sports, he broke this down very, very well. So let me tell you the timeline of the whole Ohtani and Mizuhara. Let's go back to 2013.
And Robin's well-versed in this because she's been watching Shogun.
Yes.
So now her Japanese has really ratcheted up numerous notches.
I now know how to pronounce these names. So in 2013...
And she had sushi last night, too.
I did. I'm full of it. 2013, Ohtani and Mizuhara meet in Japan.
Yes.
So it goes... Mizuhara at the time was... interpreting for the American player Chris Martin, who was playing in Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters.
Wait a minute, wasn't he in the Coldplay?
Chris Martin.
Isn't he the lead singer of Coldplay? So he's involved in this now too?
Different guy. So that's how far back they go to 2013. Then in 2018, Ohtani moves to Major League Baseball, and he brings Mizuhara with him to be his interpreter. And that's when he was with the Angels.
Not the guy who made miso soup.
No,
he had nothing to do with miso soup.
Totally
and I love
different.
miso soup.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too fishy.
Now, in 2021, so Mizuhara is interpreting for Ohtani for 3 years when Mizuhara meets Boyer. Boyer is the bookie. So Mizuhara, he had been placing bets on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
He meets this guy, Matthew Boyer, who is an illegal bookmaker.
Because there's no legal sports betting
Correct.
in California.
So he meets him at a poker game in San Diego.
Poker?
He claims that he did not know that making bets with Boyer was illegal. Whatever. Okay, right?
Who didn't know this? The interpreter?
Mizuhara, the interpreter.
Okay.
He's the one that's gambling, supposedly. Then in around September, October of 2023, so this is just last year,
right?
$1 million is sent to Boyer under Ohtani's name. So bank records show that Ohtani's name on 2 $500,000 wire transfers are sent to Boyer, and the description in the transfer reads loan.
Loan. So this is like the Biden checks that were like loan repayments, supposedly, that
Correct.
are all in these investigations?
Yes.
So it's a loan. See, that's what you do. If you're in gambling trouble or you take illegal money from offshore racketeers, and by the way, RICO is a crime, Robin.
Yes.
Not RICO Suave.
Well,
that's
hold
different.
on. Let me
go
finish.
ahead.
Boyer allowed people to believe that Ohtani was a client of his because of these wire transfers that he was able to show to help his business grow. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So then Mizuhara claims this was done after Ohtani agreed to cover $4.5 million of gambling debts. And this was just like the first installment. Or the first 2 installments. He says that Ohtani was not happy about this, but he had to make sure that Mizuhara wouldn't do it again. And that is why Ohtani said to have logged in and done it himself, because he did not want to hand Mizuhara more money. He wanted to have it go directly to pay off this debt.
Okay. Do you still believe any of this at this particular time?
No, but it gets worse. So
then something went terribly, terribly wrong, like in VH1's Behind the Music?
Well, here's the thing. So that same year, the end of October, Boyer, the bookie, his home is raided. And he's raided by federal authorities. They have a search warrant inventory that showing that agents seize cash, casino chips, bank documents, money counting machine, multiple computers.
Bullion? Did he have gold bullion in his jackets like members of Congress do?
So then in December of 2023, we all know Ohtani signs with the Dodgers, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Gazillion dollar deal.
Right. So he's making like $700 million deal with LA and blah, blah, blah. January. So just a month later, when the feds are going through all these Boyer documents, they notice that Ohtani's name is on part of the documents that they
Is this a RICO crime?
Well,
we should ask AOC and get her on the show.
So then
today.
in March, ESPN finds this information somehow. They get wind of the story, and then they reach out to Ohtani's camp, and that's when Mizuhara speaks with ESPN saying that Ohtani knew all about this, that this was the gambling debt, and that he blah, 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 blah. Then let's cut to March 20th.
Yeah, that's a couple days ago. That's yesterday, actually.
Okay. So Ohtani, he leads the opening season, 5-2 win against the Padres. An ESPN reporter after the post-game interview asks Ohtani about Mizuhara's allegation that Ohtani was present and helped move funds and that he was going to be paid back. Ohtani's spokesman contacts...
How much longer is this going to go?
It's almost over. So then all of a sudden, this is where things change all of a sudden. Because of that questioning, all of a sudden... Ohtani's people come back and say, no. Ohtani knew nothing about this. They throw Mizuhara under the bus, and they say that Mizuhara absconded with $4.5 million.
All right, now here's the deal.
Okay.
This smells worse than 6-day-old bait.
Yeah.
Which I call sushi. You call sushi, I call bait. We'll talk to a lawyer about this. And again, I don't know what really happened, but here's the worst part. So the Dodgers course, played 2 games in Seoul. So they won the first game because the Padres shit the bed, and then they played another game in the middle of the night while all this stuff was simmering out in Seoul, Korea. And then they scored like 100 runs in the game. And the other Japanese pitcher that the Dodgers signed and gave $1 gazillion to, he got his tits lit up. So now Dodger fans are like, what the hell is going on here? Yesterday we're talking about this guy's the biggest name in sports. He's the one guy you're going to go pay to see. He's the biggest superstar out there. And then the next day, the Dodgers are getting spanked by the Padres. I mean, it was like 15-11, one of those games. So they're all messed up now. Could this be a debacle again for the Los Angeles Dodgers? We'll talk about it. The other gambling scandals going on. We'll show you the end of the Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. I was there. Where were you during the implosion? No, not of this show, but a Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. We'll go to the tape and break it down. Still ahead, coming up, Daniel Wallach, Paul Allen, PA on the mic, Minnesota, talk Timberwolves and tournament action too. So stick around. We keep this party going on a thirsty Thursday, yo.
It was meant to be. Tony Bruno on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Don't ask me what you know is true. Don't have to tell you I love your precious heart. I was standing, you were there, 2 worlds collided, and they could never tear us apart. We can live.
Right? Wrong. M&M's presents the Almost Champions Ring of Comfort. It's actual science. First, we took comforting M&M's peanut butter and compressed it into real diamonds.
It doesn't taste like peanut butter.
Don't lick the blame.
Then we polished them with the size of those who almost won a Super Bowl.
Almost.
And Scarlett Johansson.
I've lost 2 Oscar races.
In the same year. Don't tell Marino I gave you.
BetMGM is for everyone that loves sports betting. Everyone. But Tom Brady.
Wait, what did I do?
The truth is you've won too much, Tommy. Let others have their turn.
What if I bet in-game parlays and I'm not Tom Brady?
You're in. Now dog me.
What if I bet the money line, but I think Tom Brady is cute?
Well, eye of the beholder. Subjective, but you're in.
Hi, Tom.
What if I used to babysit Tom Brady and he was a little troublemaker?
Well, then you die with your secrets. No one likes a snitch. But you're in.
What if I cried when Tom left?
What if I have a tattoo of Tom Brady on my calf?
As long as you're not Tom Brady, you're in. Come on.
What if I'm the Tom Brady of spreadsheets?
BetMGM is for you. Yes.
What if I'm Tim Birdie, 7-time pool champion?
You already know the answer. Why are you putting us through it? With the clothes?
Well, how come Wayne Gretzky's in?
Stop at the questions, Tommy. We're chopping it up here.
Hey, Tom. Hi, Wayne Gretzky.
Look at that. Your name's in lights.
Why is my babysitter here?
Again with the questions. Please, just enjoy the view.
Download BetMGM. They accept you, Tom.
Good morning.
Watch me.
Just watch me now. Just watch me now. I got somebody, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. I got something for you, a little more for you. You won't believe your eyes. Just watch me now. Just watch me now. Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting, and now it's here. TBSN, the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Make some noise!
The Tony Bruno Sports Network. Download the app. Tell your friends the game is on. TBSN.
Don't just stand there. Bust a move.
This here's a jam for all the fellas. Try to do what those ladies tell us. Get shot down because you're overzealous.
One of my favorite songs, Bust a Move. They're busting moves this afternoon in the NCAA tournament. Get an update. Carolina now leading Wagner 43-32, 17 and a half minutes left in the NCAA West Regional. Of course, earlier today, Arizona's leading now. 82-60, so that's a 22-point line, and we're watching that closely because, you know, the line is important, Robin. Doesn't matter who wins or lose. It's who covers the spread. And that brings us to our topic of the day. Not just betting on the NCAA tournament, not just betting on any sports, but now betting intertwining with sports, and in some cases, dangerously so. The Shohei Ohtani situation, then you got the situation with the Cleveland Cavaliers coach J.B. Bickerstaff threatened by a fan because they allow live sports betting during a game, and when somebody gets pissed off that he calls a timeout during the game and they need an over to cover, people get stupid. So we bring on a man who's never stupid. He's a lawyer, and he's one of the lawyers that I trust because I don't – the divorce lawyers, obviously, Dan Wallach, they're the ones I don't trust because they're basically cab drivers with college degrees. They want the meter to run. Am I wrong here, Daniel Wallach, of course, from the Conduct Detrimental podcast with my good friend Dan Lust?
Thanks. Not all lawyers are created equally. You know, there are some ethical, trustworthy divorce attorneys. They're not all cut from the same cloth. But the question I ask is, do you trust Ohtani's lawyer to be the one telling the truth here when the story keeps shifting, contorting, and changing seemingly by the minute? And, that was a bungled crisis management, issue of, trying to get out ahead of the story and then bungling it.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing, Dan, which is incredible. Even Lou Merloni, the former player, says, I want to watch Ohtani play baseball for many, many years to come and never face any kind of suspension. But if it's not under investigation, if they don't look into his involvement, it's because they're afraid of what they'll find. And that's what a lot of people are saying today because this thing, as you mentioned, was handled poorly. Meanwhile, everybody's celebrating Ohtani. We all want to see him play. I went out and said, this guy is the biggest name in sports and the Dodgers will be the hottest ticket in baseball. But now all of a sudden they get lit up with their other Japanese pitcher who pitched earlier today in Seoul, and he got tattooed. And now all of a sudden the Dodgers went from, wow, I can't wait to see this team, is what the hell's going on with this team?
Yeah, unfortunately, Major League Baseball is not going to be able to sweep this under the rug because this all came out as part of a separate parallel federal criminal investigation involving that illegal bookmaking operation. So there's the U.S. governmental attorneys, the U.S. Attorney's Office in California is also involved in investigating. So I think the truth ultimately will come out in full. But Major League Baseball is in bed with the gambling companies.
Yep.
They have partnerships with DraftKings and all these other operators. They can't turn a blind eye to one of their most marketable player potentially having funded an illegal gambling transaction or a series of transactions to the tune of millions of dollars or $4.5 million. If it's illegal, if this transaction had occurred at the outset before the bet was made and he was giving his money to his interpreter for the interpreter to place a bet for himself, for the interpreter, that would be bad. So how is it any different?
No, I agree. I totally agree with you, Dan. I want to see this guy play forever. This is really – talk about a bombshell as the NCAA tournament happens. Baseball has now become the biggest story.
Yeah, this also highlights the importance and benefits of having a regulated state-licensed sports betting environment, because if California had come to its senses and legalized sports betting back in 2022 and wagers like this were made in regulated markets, the interpreter would never have been able to place a bet down because as an employee of the Dodgers, he would have been a prohibited bettor and his name would have been on all these lists that are, sent to gambling companies as persons who cannot place bets within the state of California. So in an unregulated, unlicensed, dark environment, these types of controversies and scandals can occur, which underscores the need for regulated sports betting across the country.
Daniel Wallach, one of the good lawyers, and we only put good lawyers on the show, especially when they work, without a waiver.
Yeah, no ethics complaints against me.
No, you're right about that. That's why that's why you and Dan are you and Dan Lust Law are the go-to guys on this program. Can I call you both the official official lawyers of the Tony Bruno Sports Network?
Wait, I'm doing a Fred Sanford, Elizabeth. This is the big one. I think Elizabeth, I'm coming. I mean, I've done a lot of acclaim and certain accomplishments in the legal profession, but this is number one. There's no question about it. Thank you, Tony. I will.
No, thank you.
Henceforth refer to myself as such, but I'm blown away. Thank you so much.
Well, it's an honor. I don't just pick any lawyer. Like, I'm not picking the Dodger lawyer or Hunter Biden's lawyer, and they're all good lawyers because they have to defend guys who are blatantly guilty. I mean, being a defense attorney to me, you start as a prosecutor, right? I mean, if you're doing criminal law, you always start out as a prosecutor, probably a non-paid public defender, and then eventually you become a defense lawyer and then a judge, right?
Well, the best defense lawyers start out as prosecutors.
Yep.
And
exactly.
they cut their teeth in the criminal court system by prosecuting defendants, and then of course, the greater pastures wait on the defense side, and when they have enough experience, and after they've sort of put in their time, they become very highly sought after criminal defense attorneys, and the salary differential is going from a state public servant earning 50, 60, 70,000 a year. If you're really good, hundreds of thousands a year. So that's the way it works, and I would think that Ohtani, if he doesn't already have a criminal defense attorney retained, perhaps he should. There may not be anything to this.
Well, shouldn't he call Mark Garagos? I mean, if he's out in L.A., Mark Garagos is the go-to guy, isn't he?
He's one of them.
Yeah.
For sure he's one of them. But I want the guy who got Britney Spears out of her conservatorship.
Yeah.
That's the guy I'm hiring.
You're right.
What is his name? Streisand?
I don't even know what his
I
name
don't
is.
know. But Danny, you are right, because she is clearly insane. Like, she really, if anybody needed to have the conservatorship kept, it's her. Good Lord.
Well, considering she's responsible for the livelihoods of so many people, I question whether an accomplished public figure who performs and generates millions of dollars in income should be the type of person under a conservatorship. But this is the kind of counsel that Ohtani needs to have, because depending on where the story leads, even if he was aware of this series of illegal gambling transactions and helped pay off the debt to the illegal bookmaker, that in and of itself is a problem. And they create, if not potential criminal exposure. It certainly should be an issue with Major League Baseball, because you can't be in bed with the sports betting companies and turn a blind eye to your most marketable player, paying off an illegal bookmaker to the tune of millions of dollars. Not only is it a bad look, but it creates a reputational black eye for the league unless they take a serious, hard look at this, retain outside counsel, have someone like Mary Jo White or those firms that do the NFL investigations. That's the level it should take. It shouldn't be left in the hands of organizations that may have a self-interest or a conflict of interest in not wanting to see their most marketable player sidelined, because that impacts the bottom line. So I don't know if the league or the Dodgers are best suited to conduct this investigation.
Especially 2 games into his career. At least Pete Rose waited till later in his career when he was a manager. He was always a degenerate gambler, and back then there was bookies. You didn't have any legal gambling, so you kept a little notepad, and that's what got Pete Rose, because they found his notes and what he owed the bookies and what he was betting on. And Pete was one of those guys, because he was a manager, he knew, hey, I have more insight into when my closer feels good if I don't think he's strong enough tonight. And he bet on his own team. He was banned from baseball late in his career, and he's being capped out of the Hall of Fame. I don't want to see Ohtani's career end 2 games after it started, But I mean, this has got to be if this becomes a fact that he had a gambling problem and was betting illegally through his interpreter and then lied about it. I mean, what does Major League Baseball do? What can they do about this guy now?
They would have to preliminarily place him on administrative league, and then he would face league discipline. But it hasn't been established. In fact, everybody's denying that he was making bets through a proxy. Of course, without a licensed, regulated sports book, showing their transactional history, we have to take everybody's word for it. And the only people who've spoken are Ohtani's lawyers, who are speaking in self-interest for their client, and the bookmaker, who doesn't want to be involved or further enmeshed in a federal criminal felony. So the people who are speaking are not necessarily acting in a way designed to get out the entire truth. And we don't know. We don't know Ohtani's level of involvement, whether he knew, whether he even facilitated these bank transfers. But I got to tell you, if he was in the dark, how do his advisors not get banking notifications whenever there's a large sum of money withdrawn from the account? I know I have an account at Bank of America, and whenever I write a check in excess of like $500 or there's a wire coming out, I get an instant notification on my phone and my email, and I'm sure he has advisors who have responsibility for overseeing Ohtani's financial affairs. So I find it implausible that they became aware of this massive fraud or massive theft simply because ESPN and the LA Times began poking around. Because if they're on the ball and they're really doing their jobs as his advisors and accountants and managers, they should have been aware of this large sum of money mysteriously vanishing from his account.
So, Daniel, there's three different options, right? Either one, Ohtani was actually the one gambling. Two, Ohtani was helping Mitsuhara meet his gambling debt obligations, and he was in on it. Or three, Mitsuhara did it behind his back and totally embezzled $4.5 million without anybody knowing. Out of the
Which door is it? Be door number one, door number two, or will you take behind the lovely Carol Merrill standing in front of door number three?
Two more options, or there?
No. I have two questions. So one is, it seems the most likely that it's number two, because that's what everybody was saying before they suddenly changed their story. That's right.
That was when they spoke with ESPN and the LA Times. That was what the spokesperson for the interpreter or spokesperson for Ohtani, and then the interpreter himself said, and then the story suddenly changed, and Ohtani's lawyers put out a completely different press statement, and the previous speakers disavowed their earlier statement. So I think it's most likely, if I could play Let's Make a Deal, Mon-Thu, I'd like to choose door number two, because that's what everyone admitted to,
right?
Contemporaneously, when put on the spot by investigative reporters from the Times and from ESPN.
So now let me ask you
I think that
a follow-up then. If that is number two, then why did they feel legally that they had to change it? How does number two affect Ohtani differently than number three?
Because in number two, he funded illegal gambling after the fact. Just as you could not, give $4.5 million to your interpreter for the purpose of placing illegal bets, so too, these amounts or these wagers were made on credit, and funding it post hoc is the same thing as funding the illegal transaction before it happens. Maybe it's not exactly the same thing, but it has similarities. And any connection that Ohtani directly has to actively participating with knowledge in the funding around a series of illegal gambling transactions could become a problem under California criminal law, could become a problem under federal law, and most serious law, maybe more seriously, could pose a problem for him with Major League Baseball, because nobody expects that Ohtani is going to be doing any jail time here, or he's going to be charged with a felony. But if door number two is what happened, the MLB cannot let this slide because going forward they won't be able to discipline anybody. There'll be an issue of whether they're showing favoritism or engaging in selective enforcement. Gambling has been a serious issue for MLB going all the way back to the Black Sox scandal. Imagine what a turnabout this would be to allow a player who paid a bookie millions of dollars to settle somebody else's gambling debt to let that person off the hook. When you kept Pete Rose out of the Hall of Fame, and where you kicked, Shoeless Joe Jackson out of baseball in perpetuity. It seems that the league has a precedent that it needs to be held to, and in order to maintain its reputational integrity, it must engage in a fulsome, detailed, comprehensive investigation, and not just simply do it within the internal apparatus of MLB. They need to engage a law firm.
No, you're absolutely right. And the advantage here, Daniel, the advantage here for baseball is that they don't play again until next week. So between like today, as they leave Seoul and come back to the United States after the 2-game series against the Padres, they got until next week. And Rob Manfred and his lawyers, they all have to get together. And if they try to concoct some sort of a thing that nobody would buy, then they have an even bigger problem, right? Because you've got to come clean. Now, obviously, I don't think Ohtani goes, yes, I was gambling and you caught me, but I was doing it before I was actually a player. But he was a player last year. He played, and then he got hurt, and then he had surgery. And so that's the question. If he was gambling, it's not like he's a rookie and he hasn't played games. He's only played 2 games for the Dodgers so far, but he played an entire season.
But everybody that's been interviewed so far says that Ohtani's never gambled. Like, he doesn't have any interest in it. It sounds like it's this other guy.
He shouldn't have to gamble. But, Michael Jordan made gazillions of dollars, and he was a gambling degenerate. He'd go to casinos between NBA playoff games when he was playing against the Knicks in Chicago. He'd jump in a limo and go down to Atlantic City or Connecticut, and that was legal betting. At least he went into casinos and spent money and lost it.
But I'm with Daniel. I feel like it's door number 2, and that.
What is door number 2 again? Because I completely lost the 3 options here.
That Ohtani knowingly helped Mitsuhara pay off the debts.
Okay.
And I think that what happened was they did not realize the legal ramifications until it all came out.
But then why would they fire him then?
Well, because now they're switching their story because they realize that if he was in on paying off the debts, that then
or at least connected to it,
right.
albeit innocently or naively,
right.
Connected to it by funding the repayment of the gambling debt is tethered sufficiently to the illegal gambling transaction that there could be criminal exposure and or at least culpability either criminally or through MLB's disciplinary apparatus. It's not it certainly this is a terrible optic to have your most marketable player paying a bookie millions of dollars on somebody else's behalf for incurring significant gambling losses, and we don't know what exactly he bet on. This is all anecdotal. Mm-hmm. We don't know. This is not state licensed sports betting where there's a paper trail.
All right, let me get to the other thing, Dan, real quick. I want to get to the situation going on in Cleveland. The Cavaliers are one of the teams that has an actual sports book inside the arena. So people can bet during the game, and there's live betting. And we were talking about this for years. There'll be a day where you can sit at in your luxury suite and then bet live, and because there's live betting now at home on legal apps. And I don't think a lot of the offshore people will offer that because it's much more complicated. But when you have all these betting apps, and then you have a guy who threatens J.B. Bickerstaff, the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, for going after him because he called a timeout and some guy had a parlay running and an over-under, and he's down there screaming at the coach. I mean, how do you fix that problem?
Well, the problem is not endemic to in-stadium sports books. Basically, any stadium in any state where someone can place a bet on their mobile device is in the same position as a bettor who utilizes an in-stadium or in-arena sports book. But this is becoming a growing problem, and the various players' associations raised that as an issue in state legislatures, that they were afraid that the expansion of legal sports betting would place their players under the threat of disgruntled gamblers making threats or trying to influence them. And this is precisely what's panning out in Ohio. But now, but there are remedies for that. These episodes are few and far between. It would have been naive to think it would never happen even once. but that it happens in such an open and obvious place where there's legal sports betting, I think provides, more eyes on it and more transparency and the ability to, punish those offenders. In the black market, nobody knows what's going to go on behind the scenes or whether someone may show up at Bickerstaff's home or condo. The fact that this happened in an arena, I think it happened in an arena.
Yeah, it happened they have a book in their arena, and a lot of teams are having. The Kentucky Derby, you go to Churchill Downs, you can bet right there, but nobody's going to shoot a horse unless, unfortunately, they bring the 10 out and they have to shoot it on the track, which is a travesty every time I see that, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's been happening more and more in recent years. But there's a police and security presence in every professional sports arena. So even though a threat like this was made, it happened in an environment where the coach and or the players can be ensured of having sort of security presence. But it still does underscore the seamy underbelly of regulated sports betting, and that the more wagering transactions that occur, the more states where it's legal, these types of episodes are going to occur with greater frequency. And better that it happen in a public venue than happen, at somebody's residence or happen, privately without all those eyeballs around it.
Daniel, good stuff as always. And the last thing is the Tyrese Halliburton, another off-the-cuff thing. He's talking after a game about people betting and then yelling at him. And he says, I don't care, I'm a prop. He called himself a prop because he knows that people are using the numbers in prop bets, and that if they bet him to go over a certain number of points, which is a part of the prop system, he says, I don't give a crap about your $1,000 loss. I'm just a prop to you. And I don't care that you lose money on sports. So now you got that. That's the thing that's a little disturbing to me, because without all this gambling money, these guys wouldn't be making $250 million or whatever they make a year. So you can't be a hypocrite if you're an athlete. If you're an athlete and you know that all these illegal gambling companies are pumping millions of dollars into sports now, and then you're going to insult fans when they lose money betting on you? I mean, how stupid is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem that goes back to fantasy sports. It didn't begin with sports betting. I remember Maurice Jones-Drew and other running backs used to complain that they would get, they would get comments and grief from fantasy sports contestants if they underperformed statistically. And instead of being hypocrites, I think the players should be grateful.
Exactly.
That this kind of that this provides an increase in the overall pie that can be distributed equally between the league and the players. I mean, the salary cap is predicated on basketball-related income, which includes revenues associated with sports betting. So whenever the league sells a betting sponsorship, betting partnership, or there are revenues attributable to the in-venue sports book, all of that goes into sort of basketball-related income, and out of that pie, the players will share 50% of an increased pie, which ultimately inures to their benefit.
The great Daniel Wallach, along with Dan Lust. Dan and Dan. Now, you're Daniel, but he's Dan, right? So you guys get confused a lot?
We're both Danny to our families.
Right.
I'm Danny to anyone I went to college. I'll send you the rules, but I need Dan and I.
We need the Dan rules.
The Dan, not the Dan Band. That's already taken because they're a great group to do all those parody songs. And then there's the Danettes, which are Dan Patrick's assistants there. So Dan and Dan. It's
have us both on together, and you want to get really confused? Have us both on together.
No, I can tell your voice is different.
What do you think about?
Yeah, Dan. Okay. No, the other Dan. Dan, damn it, Dan! I'm talking to the other Dan, not Dan the man.
Damn Dan.
Daniel, regardless, it goes off the rails. Potentially, it's still a great spot.
Exactly. I want everybody to listen. You do your pod. You do every week, right? The Conduct Detrimental podcast.
And people can follow Daniel on his X page, Wallach Legal. That's WALLACH Legal.
I also have a gambling industry or sports betting podcast called, if you're a Warren Zevon fan, Lawyers, Lines, and Money.
That's great, Lauren Zevon number. Now, you got to be old school. I mean, you got to be like back in the old the Fish days when they were young, and obviously the Grateful Dead days and Warren Zevon and all those great old school people.
We have great listeners that are texting in here. This is D. Conrad in Vegas. This is my lawyer Dan and my other lawyer Dan
and my other brother Dan.
And my other brother Daryl.
My other brother Daryl. Remember that? That was the Bob Newhart show, right?
This is my lawyer Daniel and my other lawyer.
Yeah, I'm a big Warren Zevon fan. Yeah, Bad Luck Streak and Dancing School. That album. The Lawyers, Guns and Money, Excitable Boy, Werewolves in London. But Springsteen is still my guy, number one.
Oh, I had to rip him today. Did you see him? He looks like Tilda Swinton now. He was sick, and now he's back out. Did you see him? What he looked like in his concert? And listen, he let his hair go gray, which is cool. It's cool to let it go natural.
Well, he didn't let it. We all age, Tony.
Well, I know that, but some guys dye their hair, and he let it go like I did. I was dyeing my beard, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to keep it natural. Keep it, the gray fox. Look at all the dashing gray fox type guys out there. You know what I mean? The silver fox.
Well, the boss is inconsistent in his hair look because he's let it go gray. Before he used to dye it, in advance of every tour. But miraculously, he has like more hair on his dome where he was beginning to show a little bit of a bald spot. So in one sense, he's going on natural, but that back of his head, the top of his head looks like a 20-year-old's head of hair. So there's a little bit of a dichotomy there with Bruce Springsteen's, very strange hair look, but it works for him.
Yes, it does. And he's still rocking out there. I mean, listen, I like Bruce Springsteen, but I'm not sitting through a 3-hour concert where he's doing B-list stuff. I yell at Robin all the time when she plays B-sides, and I'm like, no, we want to hear the hits. I don't want to hear your new material. Yeah. When you got the catalog that Springsteen does or any other group, I don't want to hear you trying new material. Play the hits and play the damn hits, and then play the other hits.
Yeah.
No B-sides, no fringe stuff.
It says a lot about his enduring quality that we're complaining about his set lists 50-plus years into his live performing career. Who else has a record like that where they're kind of he's near the top of his game. He's not what he was when he was 50 or 60, but he's still rocking out and he's still playing energetic shows and selling out these venues 52 years after the release of his first album. That is a longevity streak that
absolutely. I'm not ripping him. I'm not ripping the guy. I don't need to, but there's people who go to every concert, and God bless them. They can go to 50 concerts a week if they want, and then they have to know the set list. Well, we put our set
aren't changing anymore.
They're not
changing anymore, and that's nope.
That's an outrage.
To mix it up. Well, see him once, and you'll be happy. If you go to every show, that's an obsession that says more about the fan than it does about Bruce. I mean, he does the same standard set list from show to show, maybe with a song or two difference, but it's not like it was in the 90s, 80s, and 2000s where you could see him 7 nights on a 10-night run and see 7 vastly different shows. That doesn't happen anymore, and I think that's an acknowledgement to the age of the band. They're not set up that way anymore, and I'm grateful. I've seen them over 100 times. I no longer go to multiple shows on a tour because you've seen one, you've seen them all, and there's no reason to hit multiple shows.
Daniel, can you explain something since you've seen over 100 times? Explain something to me. How is he getting older, except his chest is getting younger?
Yeah, did you see it? It looked like he had a plastic chest piece
I don't know
there.
what is going on with that, but I have never seen that on a man where suddenly the chest area looks like it's Botoxed. And
maybe he's waxing. I mean, maybe he's just trying to keep it clean.
Chest lift. I don't know what
chest lift.
It is stretched.
All right, that's enough about Springsteen. Okay. I want to know, we're going to play one of your favorite. Which is your favorite? Is it Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me? Is it Werewolves of London? I'm going to play a Warren Zevon.
It's Excitable Boy, because it's such a lovely melody with such dark lyrics.
Excitable Boy.
Excitable Boy.
I mean, I love Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me, because if I lose a parlay, then I'll be crying like a poor, poor, pitiful guy. Now, which one are you playing, Robin?
Excitable Boy.
See, Robin's playing your request. Who else does that on a sports radio show with you, Daniel?
Nobody. I used to have a guy in Fresno who gave me Badlands from Bruce as my walkout, music.
Oh, why didn't you tell me? I mean, we know you can. Next time you come on, we'll do a walk-up song and a walk-out song. We'll make Ron Zevon your special request of the day. Sending this one out.
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, to Daniel Wallach.
It's Danny from Hallandale Beach, Florida.
Hallandale Beach, hello. As Larry King used to say. Daniel, thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tony. My pleasure, Robin. Thanks for having me back on. Have a great day.
Absolutely, and welcome back to the United States.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you.
There he is. He's just an excitable boy. You know who's excitable now? Anybody who took LB State with the 24.5. Arizona has advanced the number 2 seed. They win it by 20, Robin, 85-65. Give Long Beach State an E for effort. Give him a loss, dog, but give your man, Tony Bruno, another check mark in his unbelievable streak of not missing one single pick so far in the NCAA Big Dance. Woo-hoo! Baby. We're coming right back. Keep you up to date on that stuff and more. Plus, we'll have the Veterans Stadium implosion from 20 years ago before this show implodes in about an hour and a half from now. Stick around. March Madness, baby.
It was meant to be. Tony Bruno on the Tony Bruno's.
You are a human on Earth. And throughout all of humanity's existence on Earth, there have been ideas, strides, and
you know there's no T in Skechers? Never has been, and never will.
What you talking about, Romo? T is always in Skechers. T and these Skechers slip-ins. T and these Skechers slip-ins. I pity the fool have to touch his shoes to put them on. T and these Skechers slip-ins. I pity the fool who bends down to put on their shoes. I pity the fool who isn't in Skechers slip-ins. See, Romo? T is always in Skechers.
I'm just saying people often misspell Skechers and put a T in it.
Quit saying and start slipping, fool.
Leftover chicken, scallions, cheese. What am I going to make with this? Meow. Mayo. Hellman's.
Holy, you can talk. And then she says, meow. And boom, Hellman saves the leftovers. Oh my gosh, this cat is talking. She can't spell.
And now, our keynote speaker.
All right, now look at the jaw. Look at the jaw. Now look at me a little. Now, mommy, look up and look away. That's your tummy. It's your tummy.
This cat is everywhere.
世界的な現象 Meerkat.
Meerkat arrives at Global Summit.
You lasted longer than most. Meow. Want to go pound some milk and rip up my couch? Meow. Good.
Now back to the biggest sports network on the planet, the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Yeah. South Carolina, 6 seed, leading 11 seed Oregon now in the Midwest region. 8 minutes to go in the first half. 20-14, Carolina up by 6. North Carolina with 4 minutes to go, leading Wagner, or Wagner as I like to say for the more sophisticated members of our basketball listening and gambling degenerate audience. 77-56 now. Carolina up 19. See, when I see sports, I can actually figure out score differences now, Robin. So my math skills are improving thanks to sports and sports gambling.
It's You
know, I'm not going to lose $4.5 million and then blame it on somebody else and get bailed out. But if someone has an extra $100,000 and you'd like to send it here, I will actually make a plaque and put it on the Bruno home. And maybe we'll have people like sponsor rooms. How about that, Robin?
Oh, I like it.
Because, you know, this house bill is going to be expensive. And I'm not sitting here as a millionaire like many of the people in the industry. And so if you'd like to have a room sponsorship, isn't that a good idea, Robin? We can call it the John from Mayfair bedroom number 2. We can call it the Martha Stewart kitchen and have Martha Stewart come in and design it.
I like
the cabinetry and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now, one of the big stories going around in the NFL right now is the Brandon Ayuk rumors. Now, of course, because when you look at the 49ers wide receiver room, there's a lot of money sitting in there. And so now all of a sudden, there's all the Brandon Ayuk and all these hypothetical trades for the guy, because the thought is that Brandon Ayuk, there's too much money in the skill position other than the quarterback, who's not making any money yet. But people now say, Brandon Ayuk, you're a Steeler. Come and get him. And all this other stuff. So this is what happens when a player, whether he's being dangled to the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Pittsburgh Steelers, Brandon Ayuk is a great receiver. If they're going to trade him, they better get, and they're not going to get what the Pittsburgh Steelers got for Kenny Pickens. But that's an interesting situation. So a lot of people saying Omar Epps' reaction to having both Mike Tomlin and Brandon Ayuk in a Steeler movie. So people are posting all this stuff. The Steeler fans think, they're just another wide receiver away from being great, and maybe they are. But that's what's great about the offseason, when you have a player out there. Now, I know one guy who's probably gone, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles' number 3 receiver, because the Eagles have moved on. Well, they haven't really cut him yet, but the Eagles are in a situation now where they keep adding receivers. So who's the odd man out, Robin? Let's see if the folks out there know. Because they signed Paris Campbell, former New York Giant wide receiver. Who's the odd man out? Let's see if the listeners know, Robin. Let's see if the listeners know. Because we have open lines right now. Coming up at 5:30 in the final hour of the show, we'll go to our man Paul Allen on the mic, PA on the mic. He's in Minnesota, of course, the voice of the Minnesota Vikings. They've made a lot of moves in this football offseason. He got the Minnesota Timberwolves up there. They got a situation in their front office. And so, yeah, they got situations going on everywhere. It has nothing to do with gambling, I don't think. But we'll talk to the great Paul Allen. Because the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we'll talk about one guy in particular on that basketball team. He was a guy that was he was a top draft pick. And people are saying, what did they do drafting this guy? And now all of a sudden, he's developed into a superstar. So we'll talk about that. We had action in the NBA last night. We had action in hockey. All of a sudden, the Flyers are hot again. And Bettman stays patient amid Arizona arena drama. So the Arizona Coyote success at an upcoming land auction could determine whether they stay in the Phoenix area. That story coming out today. Earlier this month, the Arizona State Land Development Board Appeals unanimously approved a $68.5 million appraisal of a 95-acre parcel of land in North Phoenix that Coyotes owner Alex Marullo is expected to bid on as a location for a new team arena. It must be advertised publicly now for 10 weeks before the auction can take place, likely in the middle of June. And if he doesn't secure the land, once again, Arizona will not have a permanent arena or a pending site to build on. They're playing in that 5,000-seat venue at Arizona State since being evicted from the Glendale Arena. And the deal with the Arizona State, and it's a cozy little arena, but it's not an NHL arena. 5,000 seats. Yeah, if you go see a game there, you're right on top of the action. But the NHL doesn't want teams playing in 5,000-seat venues.
No. That's
what minor league teams do. But they hope their agreement with ASU runs through next season with an option for 25-26. And so now, you got a situation. And listen, Arizona, it's amazing. They have so many different arenas for all these different sports teams. Just like Miami. Miami's got all these different arenas for all these different sports teams, and they're all over the place. And let's be honest, they're not what you would call rabid sports markets, right? Arizona, yes. The fan base there, if the team's not good, they're not going to show up. The Diamondbacks were good last year, and obviously everybody got jacked up and went to the playoffs. But when the Arizona Diamondbacks stink, not everybody goes out, even in the pool when it's hot, because, it's a dry heat, and they have a dome, and they turn the air conditioning on. So they have that advantage out there. Anyway, Oregon has now taken a lead on South Carolina, 21-20, 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. That one, everybody knew was going to be a good one. Oregon, Morehead State, 1 point down now, to the number 3 Illini in another one of those 3-14 matchups. Morehead State. You know, as someone once said, I don't care how you bring it, just bring Morehead. Morehead. Is there anything better than Morehead, Robin?
Not for men.
Or for women either. Don't women call it head too?
No.
I know women who used to call it head. We may have to have a poll. We haven't had a poll question.
I have never called my own personal area head.
I hate to do it to you, Robin.
Please, somebody support me on this. That is definitely a man thing. The reason why it's called head is because it looks like a bald head.
No, that's not what it's about.
Yes. It's because it's the other head.
I'm going to look this up in the Urban Dictionary, Robin.
More men think with that head than their other head.
Well, that's true. I'm not denying that.
That's why it's called head.
Let's go to the Urban Dictionary. I guarantee you, women refer to that particular type of excitement as head as well.
What? Never.
Robin, are you going to deny the Urban Dictionary where all good things come? Let's see. Now, Urban Dictionary head. Not Bobby Head. Not, who's the other guy head? Murray Head. Remember Murray Head?
No. Bobblehead.
Bobblehead. Giving head.
Redhead.
The phrase head is used to justify hooking up with an ugly or subpar chick in the Urban Dictionary, Robin. So what does that refer to?
That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't mean...
This is what I said. Head in the Urban Dictionary, the phrase used to justify hooking up with an ugly or subpar chick. You know what I'm saying? The most powerful being in the universe. Well, that's different. That's
okay. Is giving head a gender-neutral term? And on here, I'm reading, I've only heard of that phrase being used to refer to male appendage.
I do too, but, you know, that just because it's an old school thing doesn't mean that's the new thing.
Come on, people.
It's all about the new thing. You know what I'm saying? Head. Here it is in the Wiktionary on Wikipedia. Slang, vulgar, uncountable, fellatio or connolingus oral sex.
Freeform Aggie says, it might be bald, but you don't have to call it head. Thank you, Freeform. See, I know. I think this is as your sound. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, and there's only one head.
A penis, girls have a vagina.
Exactly right.
Period.
Meanwhile, we're in the final seconds here, and if you had your North Carolina Tar Heels #1 seed out there in the West, you can punch your ticket to the next level. Let's see. So Carolina now up 90-62 with 12.3 seconds left. What was the number in that game? See, now I got to pull up the odds, Robin. I know Carolina was a big favorite in this game, but will they cover the number? 90-62, final 11 seconds. Carolina just walking the ball up. They're going to go into the four corners. They're going to play this out. Obviously, nobody's going to foul. They're just going to shake hands, and they're going to punch their ticket, and I hate that term because the ticket's already punched. North Carolina has advanced 90-62, 33-2 in the round of 64 since 1985. Your Tar Heels. So they win today, and they beat Wagner. But at least they'll have a nice piano concerto on the way home. What was your favorite Wagner song, Robin? Are you a big Wagner guy?
Guy?
Or gal?
Wagner.
Not music. Robert Wagner, of course. Great actor. Remember what Robert Wagner?
He did the Flight of the Valkyries.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
It's always good. But
give me a little Wagner. Wagner.
Little Wagner.
North Carolina now advances, and they will play Michigan State as we head to the weekend, and we start the elimination sensation all across the nation.
So they did the Flying Hollander, the Fliegende Holländer.
Now I want the best. Give me the hits again. I don't want some fringe Wagner or Wagner.
Ride of the Valkyries is the one that most everybody knows.
Yeah, play that one now. Didn't Tom Cruise do that movie? Here it is. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, Wagner. You can go back.
Now, if you want to
Pick up your commemorative. Hey, at least I won in the first 4 tournament this year. Meanwhile, Moorhead State leading Illinois. There's no quit in that head at Morse Head. Not Boar's Head. They have quality meats as well, Robin.
Now, the ring cycle is what he's also, the whole ring, which is...
The ring?
The ring cycle. He did like Siegfried and Tristan and Isolde. And like, if you were to listen to Wagner's entire ring cycle, I think it's like 12 hours long.
The ring cycle? We have a ring cycle.
Ring cycle.
Not the movie, the Rings movies, right?
No. It's just, it's like, anyway, it doesn't matter. But because he's German.
He's a German.
He's a German. There's a lot of ones that are fun to say. One of the most fun ones that I think people like to say is Gotterdammerung. Gotterdammerung.
Gesundheit. No, I can't do that one. That's
no.
Yeah,
if that's one of the only German words that's not good.
Oh, I know a lot of German words, Robin.
Okay.
Dankeschön.
Oh, good.
Gesundheit. Splecken Sie Deutsch.
Splecken? Splecken? Yeah. You know lots of words, don't you?
I know beautiful. I have the best words,
the
Robin.
Best words.
I know the best words.
Hey, Tony, shall we do a couple of quick text messages that have been
Absolutely.
popping?
The texts keep pouring in.
Yes.
Because we're keeping people up to date up to the second.
We are glad that Blind Mike has found us again.
Absolutely.
And he is texting in. He says, did you guys hear the late night slip up with Andre Kopitar from the Kings? He was discussing a certain situation and he dropped the ass bomb.
What's wrong with an ass bomb every once in a while?
I don't know, but I mean, that might be
ass isn't a bad word.
But TNT might frown upon it.
No, they don't. Do we have the tape?
T. Jacksney checking in. He's living in Sacramento now. He's excited to have found the show.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
By
the way, that Michigan State win was the 20th win as a lower seed. And Tom Izzo, Hall of Fame lock. And that's why you always, in the first round game, you always bet Tom Izzo and his Yoopers from Michigan State. Not Michigan. Michigan State.
I'm not even going to read out loud some of these things that are coming in over the...
Why, Robin? What is this, censorship?
No, people can read it on themselves.
Are they
stream.
profanity laced?
Yes.
Are they indecent profanity laced? Are they insults?
Yes, but
are they insulting the program?
No, not at all.
So then it's good head. Moorhead is good head. It's
Jerry,
not bad head.
Jerry from Rhode Island.
Or bad head.
The Ohtani case. Pete Rose is a joke compared to the Ohtani case. It's going to be very interesting how this plays out.
Because they don't want to suspend the guy. And now the thing about the Ohtani thing that's really going to be interesting, but the good news is that they have until next week. See, because it's Thursday, and then, of course, the Dodgers are going, and they're flying back. Mm-hmm. San Diego flying back to the West Coast. So are the Dodgers to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. So they'll be lawyered up all weekend long.
They are getting their narrative down.
And it's not
to
even
the
a narrative.
Nitty-gritty.
They're just saying, okay, what now, right?
Oh well, they're getting their stories right.
And the commissioner has got to make a statement soon. Because they have to be investigating this. And again,
Absolutely.
I don't want Ohtani to be suspended. I'm the guy who just yesterday or 2 days ago said, this guy is going to be the hottest ticket in sports. Forget about LeBron in the NBA. Forget about all the other hockey or NBA players or baseball players. There's a lot of really great baseball players.
I can pretty much say
But Ohtani was the guy everybody wants. You
Yes.
pay a ticket to go see him play.
They're going to stick with the story that Ohtani had no knowledge of this. Matsuhara is going to be the scapegoat. He is going to have everything, and he's going to agree upon it to make this go away.
See, if only he had been with us for the $5 sushi at Publix last night, this would not have happened.
Exactly. Luigi checking in saying, can we have Magnum sponsor my room?
Exactly. The Olympic rings. I told you that story. Yeah, you're going to have condoms at the Olympics in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into the dorms, they will have the different size rings. So you just go in and slide it in and say it. Now you have to, touch it a little bit to make it, just to get closer to the actual size.
Now, here's an interesting thought. This is from area code 267. I don't know.
Which is the Philadelphia area, Robin, because that's where your area
code
is
from. But it's not signed, so I can't tell who I can only see the area code, people.
That means it's from the Philly area, Robin.
Right, I know that.
Okay.
But whoever this is says, think of it this way. It's not about penis. It's about the action.
Exactly.
It should be called giving mouth or face.
Or sucking face. I mean, that's...
Suck face was
Not lick face. That's what all these strapper 76er fans were calling Howard Eskin's son. Remember when they did the whole lick face thing? I don't know what that meant. These were the stupid strappers who were masturbating each other every night, metaphorically and physically, during the trust the process era. The most unsuccessful fraud. This is a RICO case. And, RICO is a category, Robin.
Yeah, it's a category.
Which category of RICO are we talking about?
I do believe that it is a category of illegal activity. But who am I?
RICO.
Can I just say...
Not Rico Brogna.
Rico Suave.
Not Rico Suave.
Can I mention something
Not
else?
Not Uncle Rico, former Bleacher brother.
Yes.
Well, I think he's still a part of the organization.
Does that.
Yeah, I love Uncle Rico.
Can I... Just observance. Somebody else brought this to
our
attention.
What are we observing today? It's not a holiday yet. Next week we hit the...
observation. That's the
Palm Sunday's coming up, Robin.
So as of yesterday, and for the time that we've had Google to search things up, the word bloodbath, when you looked it up, the word bloodbath, because that's a controversy, we're not going to go into why, but if you looked it up as of yesterday, it would have said a bloodbath definition from
they changed it.
Dictionary
changed it.
Is a ruthless slaughter of a great number of people, and also a period of disastrous loss or reversal. And here's an example, a few mutual funds performed well in the general bloodbath of the stock market. This was one of the definitions. As of today, if you do that same search for bloodbath, it now states an event or situation in which many people are killed in a violent manner. He allowed the protest to go ahead despite warnings that it would spark a bloodbath. Gee. How strange. I wonder what they could be trying to make people think.
Well, another interesting non-sports story, but it affects everybody out there with a phone. The United States government today announced it was suing Apple. Did you see that?
Apple?
Apple.
So what are they suing Apple for?
I guess they say that Apple, the Attorney General got out there today and said that Apple is a monopoly. How is it a monopoly? You don't have to have an Apple phone.
No.
You have choices, right?
Yeah.
You have choices of carriers. So I don't know why the government now all of a sudden, and listen, we're not Apple people. I mean, I have a mini Mac Mini here, but we have
it's specifically Apple phones? Or
Apple, the company Apple. So I don't know what Apple did that pissed the government off, but that's a big story today.
You know, one of the things that Apple has done, which I commend them for, is that if anybody wants to... If a government wants to get somebody's phone records,
they refuse to give it up.
They're refusing to give it up.
Maybe that's why. Maybe they're trying to get other people's phones to crack open that they're going against because how dare they keep information so the government can't go after private citizens and throw them in jail.
So we don't know what the reason is that they are going out after Apple specifically, but...
No, they announced the lawsuit against Apple.
Yes. The lawsuit against Apple is that Apple has an illegal monopoly over its iPhone stuff that's on the iPhone. If you don't have...
Yeah, like the chargers. I agree. That's all bullshit.
Chargers, accessories.
But why should every company have the same plugins?
And it's not just that. It's also the apps. If you want to be on... if you are an app and you want to be part of the iPhone phone, Apple phone, then you have to go through all these hoops to be accepted.
Now, I will agree. That's why I don't buy iPhones. Right. Because there's no doubt about it. Because iPhone users are like drug addicts. They have to have a new one every year. And they don't give a shit what it costs. $2,000 a year. Here, take my money. So I'm not an Apple guy, but I'm not an Apple hater. And so this is why GM said it will no longer support Apple CarPlay from 2026 and build their own Android experience because they don't want Apple to take over all the car screens as Apple demands it does so.
Right.
So that's part of the lawsuit.
That's part of the lawsuit.
Listen, I agree too. But why does the government have to step in?
Well, because money talks. So if Apple pays enough, then it's going to happen no matter what. So the government's stepping in and saying they.
Why should the government? This is a private company, right? Isn't the whole thing? The government shouldn't be telling private companies what to do.
The Justice Department says Apple limits choices with apps, text messaging, the ability to tap phones to buy lunch, and options for seamlessly using a Garmin or Samsung smartwatch with an iPhone. Apple has previously said limitations like those protect their security and privacy, but the government says that Apple's restrictions limit your choices to allow Apple to grow even richer at the public's expense.
I get that. That's what all these corporations do. People want Apple products.
No, but what I'm saying,
they have a choice. You don't have to buy Apple.
No, but the point is that if you are, it's hard to switch over when you're so used to something. And
no, it's not.
And if you have a Samsung or a Google or another phone, you can have outside apps in there. With Apple, you cannot do that. You don't even have the option to. That's the problem.
But the bottom line is this, Robin. When the government interferes with private companies, the government has no control over private enterprise. And I'm not an Apple guy. And now Jim Cramer just checked in, and this is what he tweets out because he's a business guy. He says, "Don't panic, don't buy. They just filed a lawsuit. They didn't win anything yet. Don't go sell your Apple stocks." Thanks, Jim. How many times have you been wrong, pal? I know you're a Philly guy and you use sound effects like stuff like that.
Wait a minute. Just wait a damn second here.
Now, Dean's saying, yeah, the government can kiss my ass destroying my Apple stock.
Exactly right. Now, did Apple stock crash today?
I don't know. And then Matt Raposa saying mostly it just forces you to buy their shit.
Of course, I get that. That's why I don't buy Apple phones.
I know.
But you know what? You know what we've done now? Because all of these secondary market companies, like now, if your friend has an Apple phone and you have an Android, you can buy one of those three-headed monster things. So it fits on different phones. Because Apple, when you buy one of those $1,000 Apple phones, they don't even give you a charger.
Well, they're not even talking about the chargers anymore. They're
no,
talking
but
about
they still
internal.
have different chargers.
Yeah, but they're talking about the internal stuff inside your phone. Like if we wanted to do, if somebody else has a phone, and we have Samsung phones. Somebody else has
but
an
I
iPhone.
have an Apple. I have an Apple iMac to run my computer.
You can't FaceTime. Because FaceTime is only for Apple users. Whereas
what about Suck FaceTime? Can you do that on Apple, or do you have to have an Android?
Don Wallace says, I'm biphonal. I have both an Android and an iPhone.
Yeah, and now here's an amazing thing. All of a sudden, we're finding out that many of our trusted politicians who somehow were worth hundreds of millions of dollars on a $175,000 a year salary. And now apparently, the stock is down 4% today, 10%, since a lot of our politicians, including Tommy Tuberville down there in Alabama, sold his entire $500,000 stake in Apple. So tell me right now how politicians should not be arrested. And I don't care what part. Tommy Tuberville's a Republican, isn't he? Tell me how our politicians are allowed to find out about these government decisions to go sue some private company because of what they own. Now it says on Apple Music, why is there that dot before the title track today? So again, I don't know what's going on. I'm not one of these Apple addicts. People want to try to tell me how much better Apple is. Good. Buy all the Apple phones you want. I'm happy with my Android. So, if you're going to call it a monopoly, so then there's a lot of companies that have monopolies. You know who has a monopoly and the government doesn't want to even acknowledge them? Tesla. The government just posted this big thing yesterday with all the electric cars made from every company, but guess which one they left out? Tesla. Why is that? Because the government hates Tesla. That's why. And they want to promote all these other failed companies that are pimping their electric product that nobody wants to buy, apparently. When I say nobody, they're not selling.
That still doesn't mean it's a monopoly. I mean, there are other ones out there you can
No, I
choose.
understand that. But Tesla, without a doubt, that Tesla is the gold standard.
They're monopolizing the market because they are better and bigger. And
that's a difference, but you have an option.
Yeah.
So anyway.
We'll be right back.
Yes. I'm going to sell. I don't own any Apple stock, so I don't care. Sell, do whatever you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting, and now it's here. TBSN, the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Make some noise!
The Tony Bruno Sports Network. Download the app. Tell your friends the game is on. TBSN.
Speaking truth to power here. We don't care what political party you're in. If you're in the government and you're screwing us over, did you see what they released this bill, right? This new omnibus bill to keep the government open, and it's 1,120 pages. And you know what the members of Congress who got this in the middle of the night did? And the thing is like a gigantic stack.
Hey, Tony.
They were supposed to bet on it to vote.
I'm
soon.
sorry to interrupt you.
Well, we have breaking news?
No, but I just forgot. It is 5 o'clock.
Oh, that means we're now on No Filter Network.
Yeah, but hold on. This is what we need to do.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Music, please.
Beautiful.
I hear you, baby.
The most tremendous new musical experience.
Beautiful.
I hear you, baby.
All right, busy Thursday, March Madness. We've been dancing all day. We've been keeping you up to date on all the crazy stuff going on. Welcome all of you watching on No Filter Network. It's Tony Bruno, Miss Robin. NBA action tonight, but not much because we've got college basketball action. Already, Arizona has advanced the number 2 seed over Long Beach State. They beat them by 20. North Carolina wins by 18. Another number 1 seed that moves on. Arizona, number 2 seed. So the first 1 seed, North Carolina, easily advancing to the next round. Long Beach State stayed close. They got it. They lost by 20. And if you took 24.5, as I told you to do, you're cashing another winning parlay, kids, because that's what it's all about here. I want winners, as someone once said, Robin. And it's a stone cold lock. Damn right. Where is that I want winners? I think I had that in here now.
Playoffs?
No, we're not talking about playoffs. Well, yeah, the NCAA tournament is playoffs. But I want winners. So we'll keep you up to date on that. It started off earlier today with the big story, of course, was the tournament started this morning. And Mr. I always win in the first round, Tom H to the Hizzo, D to the Dizzo. Tom Izzo and his Michigan State Spartans won 69-51 over Mississippi State. They advance. And then North Carolina State, I mentioned. Arizona won easily. And then the other games, I got to get the scores all up here, Robin. I got to get the scores all up so I can keep people up to the minute. Dayton and Nevada are underway now. And they're in the NCAA West first round action out there. And that's a 7-10 game. Dayton, the 7 seed. Nevada, the 10 seed. And we'll keep an eye on that one just getting started. Meanwhile, the earlier games, as I mentioned, that are over, gave you 3 of the updates. Paul Allen's going to join us this hour, too, up there in Minnesota, where they have developing situations down there.
Minnesota.
Up in Minnesota. You know what I mean? So we'll get into that.
Don't you know?
The NFL now backing the hip drop tackle rule. So they back up a proposal to get rid of the hip drop tackle. And when you drop down on your hip, then you dip, I dip, we dip. No, that's a different hip drop tackle. So the NFL officials today responded to protests over a proposal to outlaw a version of the hip drop tackle, a technique the league says has resulted in an injury rate that is up to 25% times higher on tackles when it's not employed. Quote, as gatekeepers of the game, this is something we have to remove, said Troy Vincent, former NFL player, defensive back, played for the Eagles, bunch of teams. He's the vice president of football operations. During a conference call with reporters today, according to the competition committee chairman, Rich McKay, who's been doing this for a long time, the proposed rule was written to address only a subset of the rugby tackling style that spread around the NFL in the last couple of years. It calls for a 15-yard penalty if a defender grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms and unweighs himself by swerving. It says swivel, swiveling, like you swivel, like you got the swivel on your hips run a swivel, and dropping his knee and hips or the lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs at below the knee, and then they rip the limbs right out of the car, rip both limbs out and then throw them on the field. It's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath in the NFL. They want to stop the bloodbath.
So let me see if we got this right. So I'm a tackler. I grab you around the waist as we're running.
Right.
And then
both hands
around.
Or
and
wraps the runner with both arms.
And then
just unweights himself.
So I let my legs go out from underneath me.
And you
then
swivel and you drop his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping that son of a bitch's legs at or below the knee.
Ugh, that does sound painful.
Yeah, it hurts me, and I haven't even been hip dropped.
I know.
But you know what song we need to play, Robin? When you put your hands up on your hip, then you dip, I dip, we hip, drop. That's a great song now, Robin. Come on. I think it's by the 69 Boys, if I'm not mistaken.
Put your hands
up on my
hip.
When you dip, I dip, we dip.
Let's see.
Robin, you're so white.
No, when you dip, we dip.
Who did that song, Robin?
Hold on a second.
I think it's the 69 Boys.
Freaky Nat? No, that's da dip.
Yeah, there's da dip. There's the hip dip, the hip drop, the hippie shake.
We dip. Is it da dip? I'm looking. When you dip,
We played this song on the show before. It's got to be in a heavy rotation, Robin. It's one of my favorite songs. Here we go. Yeah. It's the 69 Boys, isn't it?
No, hold on a second.
Play it. Play that song. Keep cranking it up, Rob. This is the song. Yeah. Crack it up now. When you dip, I dip, we dip. Hands up on your hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip.
It is. It's freaky nasty.
Freaky nasty. I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore. I'm sure there's multiple remixes.
Hold on. This is better.
And who's that?
Freaky nasty.
Okay.
The dip.
I don't care whether it's the dip. I mean, the dip, is A.J. Johnson still putting the dip in?
Of
Did he give that up? Here we go. You dip, we dip. So if you're an NFL player, you take your hands off his hip, then you dip and drop him. No more hip drops, bitch.
No more. I mean, that particular move, when you see it in slow motion especially, I have looked at it and said, oh, my God, somebody's knee is going to bend backwards when they do that someday. I mean, it looks like there's a lot.
But here's the problem now. Listen, I'm all for keeping players safe. And obviously you got the horse collar tackle. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times the officials miss it because they can't now. They're also looking at a way to maybe review some plays, because even though there's all those eyes out there, they miss it. McKay said that if approved, also the resulting increase in kickoff returns would add 3 to 5 yards in field position to the league's average dive start, because we've seen now that the kickoffs, the balls all go out of the end zone, and there's no more kick returns. So they're saying they want to increase scoring, and the way they do that, so they're looking at all rules like they normally do every year this time of the year because they get ready for the draft soon. They want to see all elements of the hip drop. But remember, the hip drop is another move that happens real quick. Now, if it's obvious and blatant and you can slow it down, but now you've got to give the officials even more things to look at. The use of the helmet rule. Usually they'd like to enforce it in ways similar to the use of helmet rule. But normally there's a letter or a fine rather than a flag during the game. But if you're not going to throw a flag during the game, and then everybody's going to complain that a guy used his helmet but they didn't throw a flag, so then they wait till the middle of the week, and then they decide to fine that player, not call a penalty, which may or may not, change the field position in the game. So when you want to add more responsibility to the officials, and then you want to try to make the rules harder. And even McKay, Rich McKay said, we are very quick to say, listen, it's hard to see all elements of the hip drop in one continuous action. So the number one thing we had to do is get a rule on the books that we can enforce on Monday and try to get the technique out of the game. They also, I just mentioned the kickoff rules. They want to get that straightened out. And because, nobody wants to see the guys kick the ball off and it goes into the end zone, and then they go to another timeout and then come back and do another timeout. So I get that every year they have to look at rules, because every year there's problems with officials being put in the position to have to make calls, bang, bang, and then they can't review it. To me, those are the kinds of things that should be reviewed. When a player gets hurt and they miss a call, or a player, there's a flagrant foul and they miss it, waiting till the next day doesn't fix anything, because that's a 15-yard penalty that the guy misses. And then all of a sudden, or the woman, depending on if it's a side judge, and there are females now in officiating crews. So when you put more onus on the officials to get every call right, and then you don't give them the ability to replay calls that could or might affect the outcome of a drive or a play or maybe even the game. So that's the thing. We got replay. I'm not saying stop it every time. We've got to get a system where there are certain things that have to be reviewable. And this thing about, well, that's not reviewable. They didn't get the playoff. No, I get it. If you think the other team committed a penalty or jumped, and then you run up and run another play so they don't get a chance. So that's the onus on the coach to determine whether or not to throw the challenge flag and replay a play. I like that, because if you're a coach and you're clueless and you're waiting for somebody upstairs to tell you, hey, throw a flag, and so many coaches throw flags in the wrong situation when they know they have no chance of winning it. So put the onus on the coaches to make the decisions. They don't make the decisions on hip drops or that stuff, but they make decisions on calling timeouts or throwing challenge flags. Don't allow challenge flags for bullshit calls. If somebody throws a flag on a call that's obviously wrong, they should be charged with a timeout, but that's also a way to stop the game. So if I were in charge of the NFL, I'd fix it in a half an hour. But these guys make a lot of money, and I'm sitting here ripping them because that's what I do. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's enough about the NFL today. Caleb Foster, by the way, the injured Duke freshman, is going to miss the entire tournament now. Right knee ankle. So the fourth-seeded Blue Devils play Vermont tomorrow night in the South Region at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. He's missed the last 5 games, and they were hoping he'd be back for the postseason. 6'5" freshman, started 15 games, and the coach up there, over there at Duke, the Dukies, John Shire, says it's a shame because they want him to play. But we'll deal with that tomorrow. We're not worried about the Friday games. We're worried about today. We got action. We've got Illinois now opening up its lead, 68-51 over your Morehead State boys. Are they Owls or Eagles? What are they? Can you see what the Morehead State guys are? Looks like an eagle, doesn't it? On the front, some sort of a bird of prey. Down on the bottom there, Robin.
I'm looking.
They had a bird. They have like a face. Is it eagles?
The Morehead State, they're eagles, and the Eagles mascot is named Beaker.
Beaker?
Beaker.
Didn't I name that to Joe Scarborough? Isn't he Beaker, the character on Sesame Street?
It wasn't Sesame Street. It was the Muppets.
That's right, the Muppets. Have you ever seen Beaker and Joe Scarborough, the former congressman, morning guy on MSNBC, in the same room at the same time?
You might.
Do a side-by-side comparison, Robin. I think I've nailed this one down. It's not a political comment. It's just, this guy looks like that. I look like so-and-so. When somebody resembles somebody, we always try to make that comparison. You know what I'm saying? You follow me right now, Robin?
So I started typing in Beaker versus Joe
Scarborough.
And as soon as I put the SC of Scarborough, it already filled it in for me.
So I'm not the first person who noticed that.
You must not
That's why I'm an observationist. I see these things that other people may miss. And these are the kinds of tidbits
And somebody already did this. Donna Truesdale already put a side-by-side.
I put it up there, Robin. I didn't know anything about this. These are people who are sharp because, I'm a well-trained mind. I was a political science major. I covered elections and stuff. I try not to talk about that stuff, except when I rip the government, and the media, which are corrupt. But, the government's coming after everybody. And I'm not even an Apple fan, and they're coming after Apple now. So anyway, can we see the side-by-side by each comparison, Robin? Can you put it up on the screen?
This is the TV screen.
I know, but are you bringing it up on the air?
It's already there.
Okay. Does he not look like Beaker?
He does have a certain resemblance.
A certain resemblance, or is it dead on?
Let me make it bigger for you.
Is it dead on? Is it close?
No, I mean, it's there. I think it's
the nose.
It's a combination of many different things. But you apparently are not the only one to have made that comparison.
Well, I'm an astute observer of all things comparison related. Meanwhile, let's get it back to the tournament. So we'll recap in case you weren't watching the games. And if you weren't, you probably didn't care. You didn't bet. And you're not up in your, I don't have a bracket, but I got action, Robin. Should I brag and put up my bracket right now, Robin? Paul Allen's going to join us coming up this hour.
Yes.
We'll get on what's going on up there in the beautiful state of Minnesota, eh? The Minnesotans, they're a couple of months away from going back up there, Robin. Once we get into May and June here, all the snowbirds from Minnesota, they're not necessarily snowbirds. They own homes up in the Minnesota area, Michigan, Ohio.
Right.
All those people come down, and they have a place down here, or they rent a place for a couple of months. But they leave here in June because it's too damn hot, and it's beautiful up there in the land of 10,000 lakes. Meanwhile, the other games going on right now, I mentioned Illinois now up 19 on Morehead State, 7 minutes left in the second half. Dayton and Nevada locked up in a low-scoring game, 23-16, 6 minutes left in the first half of that game underway right now. And then later on, Kentucky, the number 3 seed, will be playing Oakland, and Texas, the 7 seed, against Colorado State. Now, Texas, a lot of people are down on Texas. And obviously their coach is under scrutiny. Texas and Colorado State, 7-10 matchup. Texas a 2.5-point favorite in that game. And then you got Gonzaga, the 5 seed, against McNeese State. Another one of those games where people wondering, Gonzaga's been a power for a long time. Mark Few, a great coach. McNeese State. Are people not sleeping on McNeese State? Because that's a 5-12 matchup. Iowa State and South Dakota State tonight. Iowa State, the 2 seed against the 15 South Dakota State. Iowa State, 15.5-point favorites. Tennessee, huge favorites over St. Peter's. 21.5-point favorites. That's a 2:15 matchup at 9:20 Eastern Time tonight. Texas Tech and North Carolina State, 6-11 matchup. Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, 4.5-point favorites. Kansas and Stanford. This is a game a lot of people have jumped on, and it's the one game I need to hit 2 parlays. Not one parlay, but 2 parlays, Robin. I need Stanford, and I got Stanford with even more points, not just a 7.5. A lot of people think Stanford can win this game outright against number 4 Kansas, banged up, not playing well lately, and that's a 9:55 start tonight, so that's one of the later games. The latest game, well, now that's the latest. The latest game tonight is a 10:05 start Eastern Time. Washington State against Drake. No, not that Drake. Although would Drake be at that game since he always goes to sporting events and then becomes a homer of that particular team? And it's not named after Drake, the rapper, Robin. Washington State, the 7 seed, against Drake. And what's interesting to note here is that Drake, the 10 seed, is actually favored over Washington State, the 7 seed. And you don't see that very much. I mean, I think Michigan State was a slight favorite or maybe a slight dog in their game, and you never bet against Tom Izzo in a first-round game. So Drake, a 10 seed, favored over Washington State. That means that obviously it's an even match game, and it's pretty much a toss-up. And then, of course, it cranks back up tomorrow, 12:15 in the afternoon when FAU, baby! And Northwestern, another highly anticipated game, the 8 seed against the 9 seed, and FAU 3.5-point favorites over Northwestern. And that's an evenly matched game. So a lot of people looking forward to that one. An all-day action tomorrow, Robin. And who doesn't like all-day action? Unless you're old and you need a couple breaks, you know what I mean? You got to take a little nap.
But you can still do all-day action. You just need to pace yourself.
Exactly right.
And
then finally.
It's like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving dinner. You just need to pace yourself, Tony.
But say you're eating turkey sandwiches all day today.
Uh-huh.
And you're watching these games starting at 10 o'clock this morning, 10:30.
Well, then you might be tryptophaning
and then you're
out.
going to midnight tonight.
Oh. See, if you want to stay awake, stay away from turkey.
Yep.
And if you're a man, stay away from, sex, because men always take naps afterwards.
What's wrong with that, Robin? Especially when you're.
But if you're wanting to watch the game,
drinking
you might miss
copious
out.
amounts of beer and alcohol product, and you're watching these games, and you're sitting on a couch. Get up and pee. Move around. There's a million timeouts in these tournament games. That's the good thing. So if you got to get up and pee, like I haven't gotten up and peed the entire time we've been on the program today, Robin.
That's impressive.
It is impressive for an old man. But my prostate's in pretty good shape because I have it checked regularly. And I recommend all you guys out there check that prostate. And if you need to have a prostate checked, please don't call me or any other. Well, there's other guys, I'm sure, who would oblige, but I don't think they're really doctors, if you know what I mean, Robin. You follow me so far?
I do recommend going to a doctor. Prostate checking. That's not like you can't. You really shouldn't do that with an at-home kit. Just saying. Tony?
Yes.
We had stories. I don't know if we're even going to be able to get to any
Let's
of them.
do this to Veterans Day, because 20
Okay.
years ago today, I actually have it back there, but you can't see it.
I can't see it right now.
I have a poster of Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, one of those original cookie-cutter concrete joints that they built in the 70s. They were all built in the 70s. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, you name it. They were the multi-purpose stadiums that were state-of-the-art, AstroTurf, open air, multiple levels. And Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, they finally blew that sumbitch up. So it opened in 71, and then 20 years ago on this date, Robin,
yes.
Where were you? Let's show it, because this is a pretty good implosion, because, we see a lot of these, detonations where a lot of them go wrong.
Yes.
This one was perfect.
It was
And listen,
perfect.
if there's any city that knows how to take shit down, it's Philadelphia.
And now
Sometimes the places come down on their own without even having explosives.
we are going to play this clip in its entirety. So if you're listening on audio only, there will be something special for you. Just
Yes.
listen very closely.
Now, you'll hear the countdown
Yeah.
on Channel 6 in Philly, and then you'll hear the actual implosion, and it's one of those controlled ones. So it starts on one side, and it just goes around and around and around, and the whole thing comes down.
But clearly
and the crowd goes wild.
Right. ABC6 was filming it, and clearly somebody that was very close to the camera was very excited. And you will be able to hear something that was...
Where were you on that particular day, Robin?
20 years ago, I was in Arizona.
Where they did not have a cookie-cutter stadium.
No.
But they had Sun Devil Stadium, which was used for football. They didn't have a baseball stadium because they didn't have the Diamondbacks back then, Robin.
But let's go back 20 years, shall
Let's
we?
go, yes.
We've just been told we are approximately 30 seconds away from the actual implosion. Here's a live shot from Chopper 6 as we take a look at the situation up high. And here's the final countdown.
2, fire!
And there it goes.
It's beautiful. If you haven't seen this, it's all over the place. Go onto my Twitter feed, @Tony Bruno Nation. Listen now. Slowly. You're looking from left to right on your...
Right. The explosions they kind of made it go off in a circle, so
Yeah,
it's just
it's
going all the way around. But wait, there's something that you hear on the...
But it's perfect. I mean, this was a perfect implosion. Sort of like the Eagles season last year when they went 10-1, and then it was a slow implosion. Here it comes.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 7:01 on this Sunday morning.
7:01 on a Sunday morning, everybody.
Somebody
Hey,
was
good morning and welcome here. Action News. Let's go to our reporter on the scene and a couple of rowdy fans who are yelling profanities as they actually said F you to the stadium.
Yep.
Listen, I saw a lot of great things. I saw the Phillies win a World Series in there. I saw Steve Carlton in 1972, the second year the stadium was over, pitch one of the greatest seasons you'll ever see, 27 wins on an absolutely dreadful team. A lot of great moments in Veterans Stadium. But the one thing that Veterans Stadium and all those cookie-cutter stadiums of the AstroTurf era had in common, they basically had rugs with a little bit of padding under it on top of concrete. So once those rugs started wearing out, like a lot of people you see on TV who don't realize that they look like strappers wearing those hideous toupees, just take those dead varmints off your head. If you're going to look that bad, just go bald and accept and embrace your baldness. Bald is beautiful, baby.
Go bald.
Bald is beautiful,
Bald is
baby.
beautiful. Dean checking in on, he said, Robin, tryptophan is a myth. Do you know?
It's not a myth.
It is not, because let me tell you, Tony is affected. Like, he eats it, and I can guarantee that he will take a nap within 30 minutes. It is not a myth. AJ Lopez checking in. We haven't heard from him in a while.
In San Antonio.
He's saying, what else are guys supposed to tell women after sex, Robin? Be quiet. I'm trying to sleep. He also says, I blew up the men's room at Veterans Stadium back in 1993. Not related to the explosions heard today, but sounds emanating from the toilet stall were similar.
No, I've told you, I've done it many times. Not when I was in the media. When I would go to a game as a fan and sit in the upper level. The one thing about the Veterans Stadium, when in some of the lean times for the Phillies, and there were many lean times, the joke was, hey, you want to take your girlfriend someplace quiet tonight? And a nice, when nobody will see you and they won't bother you. You take them up to the 700 level in Veterans Stadium, all the way up at the top. Nobody would see you. And you can go up there and get naked. You can make out. You can do whatever you wanted. And there's video of people doing the dirty deed.
No.
Done dirt cheap.
Really?
Up in the legendary 700 level, Robin. Come on. That is bad knowledge by you. You weren't there. But Harry May's checking in. And he says, love airport drinking. So he's drinking airport, Victory beer. Which airport, Harry? And where the hell are you going? Harry's got himself a Victory Brotherly Love Hazy IPA.
Nice.
And then he's got a Victory Dirt Wolf Double IPA. Now, Robin's a Victory, what's the one called?
Golden Monkey.
Golden Monkey.
It's my
Not the one that you
favorite.
spank. That's a different monkey that you spank. The Golden Monkey, you worship. You don't spank it, right?
You know, like how some people have like a table wine. I have a table beer, and it's the Victory Golden Monkey. It's my go-to.
Exactly.
It's my favorite.
But meanwhile, more breaking news from the NFL. They're meeting today and talking about rule changes. This is breaking news involving the Philadelphia Eagles because nobody did it better. Ladies and gentlemen, the tush push will not be banned in the foreseeable future, the NFL has announced today. Now, without Jason Kelce, that'll be the interesting thing to watch with your Philadelphia Eagles in the upcoming campaign. Troy Vincent said there wasn't the sort of injury data would give the committee the opportunity to make a decision. Everybody now, E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles, in your face. All of you chump-ass teams who tried miserably and couldn't get the first down. Even trying it on back-to-back downs. Bitches. And thank God that they got it straight. Now, without, the guy who was really the main guy was Jason Kelce.
Yes.
And now he's retired. So whoever replaces him has to be as athletic and be able to take a ton of guys falling on top of him.
That's going to be hard to do.
The tush push not only works in the National Football League for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Yes, hard to believe that the one time the Giants lost two guys on the same play wasn't a compelling enough case. See? It's mostly moot now. Jason Kelce is retired. Because the other teams didn't know how to do it. They were chicken. They were afraid. Tom Brady used to do it. Tom Brady did it on his own and always got the first down, and he didn't even need a tush push. He did have a deflated ball. We're coming right back. The great Paul Allen from Minnesota will join us next right here on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
It was meant to be. Tony Bruno on the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Tony, what do you think?
Quincy, it's 2 a.m. You have school tomorrow. Get some rest.
See you tomorrow, Saquon.
You got it, Quessy.
His name is Quincy. The crowd goes wild.
Hey, Quessy.
Quincy! Your son's fantasies are going to destroy my house.
Quincy, take the snap. Hike. Get up to Fred Warner. I'm open. He's got Jefferson.
Hit the gritty?
Nah, hit the Quincy.
What is that ball doing?
Nobody was little number.
Bring it, little man.
Cam Jordan.
I'll see you tomorrow, Quessy.
Quincy's in trouble.
I got you.
He pitches into Saquon. No! My ball!
That's on you, bro. Besides, I'm not even real.
Is this your ball? What's your name?
Quincy.
Quessy. I'm OC. I know that look. I know that dream. I had the same one. See, Quessy, doesn't have to be a dream anymore. Doesn't matter where you're born, as long as you're born to play.
Just making sure you were real.
Now back to the biggest sports network on the planet, the Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Don't stop till you get enough. I never get enough of this guy, ladies and gentlemen, on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. He's all over the greater Minnesota 10,000 lake area. He's at the racetrack. He does everything. He runs Minnesota sports. Of course, your voice of your Minnesota Vikings. And you know where your Minnesota Vikings are right now? Let's find out. PA on the mic, the great Paul Allen joining us now from the land of, how many lakes now? Is it still 10,000 or have they lost a couple doing the climate change up there?
What do I look like, Christopher Columbus? I think it's 11,638. And by the way, speaking of the racetrack, I am in the press box at Canterbury Park right now. I'm sitting next to one of your biggest fans for the last 3 decades that we've worked here together, Johnny the Mouse Mickelson, captain of the 83 Wayzata Club hockey team, the greatest club hockey team in the history of the state of hockey. And because of you, Mouse and I have all of Benny Mardones' albums.
Beautiful,
so we thank
man.
you for that.
Now, the racing going on, right?
Wait. No, wait, that's our favorite. Do it again, Tony.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Johnny, say hi. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Johnny, who do you like now? What race are we up to now? Is there a card? What are they running? Are they running trotters or pacers or thoroughbreds?
We got more action than a Rambo movie up here. We have 10 TVs. Some are on college basketball. We got Plum Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Turf Paradise in Phoenix. We got New Orleans in the fairgrounds. And that's about it for right now. But, Johnny and I struck gold earlier. There's a rider who rides at Canterbury who's a very, very kind lady, and we love the girl. Her name is Kelsey Haar. And she was like 0 for 74 at Oaklawn in Hot Springs, and they give away a lot of money. I mean, like amongst the biggest tracks in the country. So, Kelsey can't find the winner's circle. But nevertheless, Johnny and I snipped it out, and it's what we do. Not certainly not Kelsey, but the horse. And at 46-1, she gets to the winner's circle, and we're paying bills, Tony.
Yeah!
Yeah.
That's a good job out of you. Not only are you a phenomenal, legendary NFL voice, you're the horse track guy there. So are they racing at Canterbury, or are you just there watching all the other stuff? What's the next meet?
we race at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com for your wagering pleasure. In 2 months from Saturday, I believe. 2 months from Saturday, Johnny? Yep, right in the middle of May, Preakness Day. And but Seattle, the Vikings training facility used to be, remember, it was called Winter Park.
Yes.
In Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Well, I've called games for them long enough so that I moved to Eden Prairie, which is like 9 minutes from the racetrack. But then they moved to the Taj Mahal in Egan, which is 25 minutes away. But with all those champagne problems.
By the way, we have a final now. Illinois has advanced. They've beaten Morehead State 85-69 in Omaha. So another one of the 14 games goes to the favorite, Illinois, 69. Now, I got to ask you, because you're Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll get to the Vikings in a second. I got to get to the Minnesota Timberwolves because, people, you remember the draft, the first pick in the draft many years ago, and people were saying, what a terrible decision the Timberwolves made. What are they saying now about the Minnesota Timberwolves and that one particular individual that was highly maligned?
Yeah, but you know how it works, brother. I mean, you've done long enough to drive you out of major market radio because you got tired of the rigmarole, decided to do your own thing and make more money. But secondly, you got tired of like the social media and fans and the reaction stuff like that, the overreaction. And what I'm getting at is when the general manager Tim Connolly, when he got here, his first splash move was he traded with Utah and gave up 4 first-round picks and like 9 players to get Rudy Gobert. And Mike Conley also was he's on the team now. Well, I mean, the things were so bad for Gobert last year that at the end of the season they're pushing for the playoffs. How about this sequence, Tony? They're pushing for the playoffs. They got like 5 games left. They're losing, and Jaden McDaniels has to go back to the locker room. He punches something he thinks is soft, but he hits a bar, breaks his arm. He's done for the playoffs. And about 5 minutes before that, Rudy Gobert on the Wolves bench threw a punch at teammate Kyle Anderson right in front of all the fans. So, I mean, it was just pear-shaped. Now, that was last year. Rudy's the defensive player of the year this year. Anthony Edwards, I believe the reference you were making, he's coming together where you're starting to see things that immortality-like players do. I mean, God has gifted a lot of them with jumping ability and strength and savvy and cunning and guile, but not everybody can block a shot like he did at Indiana 2 weeks ago, dunk John Collins out of a game like he did at Utah, and he had a rebound dunk the other night against Denver that was unbelievable. So, yeah, the kid's fantastic.
Yes, and so the Timberwolves, there's some hope up there, and obviously, there's some good teams, but right now you look at the West, the Clippers are leaking a little bit. So the Lakers, are they serious? The Warriors are not really the Warriors of past. So, yeah. Obviously Oklahoma City's good. Obviously there's some good teams, the Suns, for example, and the Nuggets. But, Minnesota, are people up there starting to feel that this team can make a run? I don't know about winning a championship, but make a run, a deep run.
Yeah, this is a habit state, and I've lived here full time since '98, and it's the state of hockey. It's self-proclaimed state of hockey, but it's legit. It's like starting from when kids are 5, 6, 7 like that. It's just the programs here and the popularity with it and the bonds that are forged between families. It's the state of hockey first and foremost.
Right.
But what I've learned in my time here. Specifically, we got to go back 2 decades, Tony, to when they had Kevin Garnett and Sprewell and Cassell. That Minnesota's an elite sports state. Minneapolis, St. Paul, elite sports towns. They're very smart fans. So the Timberwolves are getting about 80 to 85, 90% for every single game, selling out a lot of games. And the farther they go in the playoffs, a lot of people in the state who don't even follow basketball, they'll get behind it. Let's be honest. The team has no championships since the Twins in '91, so it's gotten a little barren in here. But the fan base is pretty behind it.
The great Paul Allen, of course, the Minnesota Vikings, your team, your town, are not recognized.
The talk of the NFL.
No doubt about it. So your thought, I mean, obviously, Kirk Cousins, nice guy. Everybody likes Kirk Cousins. He's not a bad guy. He's jovial. But the one thing I said last week when he said, I want to retire now an Atlanta Falcon. Now, his wife's from down there, so we get that. But didn't he say he wanted to retire a Washington Redskin and then he wanted to retire as a Viking? So, I mean, I don't want to pick on a guy for that, but that's what you're supposed to say when they keep paying you, $411 million for one playoff win in his career?
There's nobody who's handled the business of a professional sports career, in my estimation, better than Kirk Cousins. And I'm talking about all leagues. I mean, he'll stand his ground, and he's going to be coveted because he's still really, really good. And it really doesn't come down to, when is enough enough? You've just made tens of millions, hundreds of millions. I'm just not big on people pointing fingers at other people on what their income level is and stuff like that. And I understand the lament. However, it, on the other side of it, people don't know how much money Kirk Cousins gives away to just so many entities during the course of a year. And it's very important to Kirk that when he does stuff like this, goes to a town and gives $9 million, that it's not public. He just wants nothing to do with that. So there is that side of it. I understand I want to retire here or retire there. Nevertheless, seriously, there ain't nobody matching $100 million guaranteed. That could get you 2, 3, or 4 years. So we're the talk of the NFL, man, because we lost a good quarterback. Now we got 11 and 23. Everybody thinks we're going to be making these giant moves to get a rookie quarterback. They're probably going to be right, and it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, what's the reaction there? Because obviously, this team was close. I mean, this team's been on the precipice. Great players all over the place, great drafts, and then they don't win. And some of your legendary calls, and I know you grew up in Washington when they were the Redskins, but now you've been there. You're a Minnesota Viking guy now, and the great calls that you've made over the years, the heartbreaking losses. I mean, you feel it. That's what's great about you, because when you do a call, you're actually a conduit for the fans out there because you're suffering along right with them, right?
Yeah. I mean, from my standpoint, I mean, I've always looked at it specifically with game calls, but the radio show too, and then racetrack announcing to a certain extent. I'm serving the fans. I mean, specifically with the radio, because they choose to turn on and listen. Now they're there for the game, but the people describing it matter too, and people choose to listen. So I mean, the least we can do is put in the time and kind of feel the game with them, and just use the gifts that God has given us to convey it the best way possible. But not surprisingly, the Vikings are by far the most popular team in this state, and have been ever since since they existed. But when you say, on the precipice, I mean, this is a massive year, man. I mean, it's the 2022 draft. The first year of our new general manager, with all due respect, is well below average at this stage, 2 years into it. And unless some guys jump up this year and show what they haven't shown. Now, the question is going to be, while you unpack it, how far back did that set the team? Now, last year, Jordan Addison was a hit. Undrafted rookie Ivan Pace was a major hit. Well, now, third year, where they signed Sam Darnold 1 year, $10 million, and he probably will play a little bit no matter who you draft. With 11 and 23, it's not out of desperation, but out of need. It definitely looks like that maybe there is some kind of handshake agreement between the Vikings and somebody like 4, 5, or 6 that they can come up with 11 and 23 and more picks or whatever. But secondly, I just don't think you make that move and get those 2 first-round picks unless you've identified exactly who you want. And I believe it's a quarterback very high.
The great Paul Allen on the mic, PA on the mic.
Beautiful, man.
It is beautiful. Now, there was one other thing I saw. We're talking about gambling a lot, and obviously that's what's going on.
Are you still in Florida?
Yes, I am. Why would I leave?
Is it starting to get sticky down there?
Not yet. No.
For your tank tops?
No, not yet. But we broke ground on our lot. 3 years in the making. Miss Robin and I went out there, rolled around in the dirt. We got dirt in under our fingernails. We got the shovels out. We rented gold shovels, and we put them in the ground. And now the dirt's being placed. And before long, Casa Bruno, the Paradiso Bruno, will emerge onto the canals.
Last time I rolled in dirt with a woman named Robin, it cost me $1 million.
Oh!
Paul, we're needing a little extra cash. You care to do it again?
Sure. I would say Samford over Kansas.
I'm all over that tonight.
Say over the years because he's radio immortality, and I'm talking money line. I ain't talking point spread.
Absolutely.
But Tony's immortality, so he gets this lead pipe, stone cold lead pipe cinch, right?
Lock. Absolute lock, baby. Absolute lock.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. So now you're glued into the tournament too, right? I mean, there's been, there's one surprise today. I mean, there weren't, a couple of close games. I was lucky. I mean, I had to 24.5 with Arizona playing Long Beach State, which is a great story. Their coach got fired, Don Monson, and he comes out, and they played hard. But for the most part, it's been pretty chalk. This Carolina game, a South Carolina-Oregon game, Oregon went on a big run at the first half, and now, so that's a 5-11 game. And obviously, Oregon, the 11th seed, right now, the way they're playing, that could be one of those. Everybody's looking at the 11 seeds this year, and it looks like the 11 seeds are the ones that are making the most noise so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Joe Q. Rube when it comes to this, but at least I'm frontal with it, where I'm like, I don't watch a lot of college basketball, but then I'll watch the conference tournaments, I'll fall in love with the team, and that's how I'll play the brackets. So the two vibes I got out of that, was Auburn. I haven't watched Auburn basketball since Bo Jackson was a running back for the football team.
And Charles Barkley was a first-round draft pick out of there, right, in '84.
There you go. You hit the reference. I couldn't get it. So Auburn, I watch, and I'm like, all right, they can hit threes like everybody. But, wow, pretty balanced there with the offense and the defense. And, did a little reading on them. So I like Auburn to win the tournament. And secondly, never forget, specifically if you're spotting up, and that's what we say in the horse racing business, when you're finding things that are juicy enough to eat and you want to make a little win bet. If and/or when spotting up, and it's like this in the bowl games too, Tony, for whatever the reason, the Big Ten thrives through the bowl games and in the early stages of the NCAA tournament. Illinois is legit with two legit guys. Wisconsin, I hadn't watched a lot of Wisconsin this year until the Big Ten tournament, and Wisconsin's tough. I mean, it's got some tough players, and then finally, with the when you look for the upsets, I mean, it's I think the upsets may take place tonight and or tomorrow more than in the afternoon.
Yeah, everybody's on Samford. I mean, I don't care how low the line goes or.
Are they really?
Oh yeah, Samford right now. I need Samford, and I hit two parlays.
Right.
I hit two. Samford comes, and now I have to wait till tonight for Samford to play. But I've got 2 17 parlays going, and I'm going to just kill this tournament early. And I haven't watched college basketball.
Who the hell plays 17 parlays?
Me. That's who. Me.
So I assume that's like I mean, I ain't getting into anybody's bankroll here. I mean, who knows? I mean, you've told me before you're with Robin because of all the money she has.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, sorry, Robin. This has to be
throw me under the bus, why don't you? Just great. Thanks.
Well, no, I was throwing Tony under the bus there. Yeah, because, I mean, if he blows it, then I'm rolling right out to Florida to get into that cash. But anyway, so this is like one of those $20 to scoop $2,000 bits, right?
Exactly. I'm building a house. I need cash. I need the I'm not going to go get the marble tile and, the columns outside and that kind of stuff. It's not a mansion. I just want to have money so that I can have, my boat slip and a boat. That's all I want. I want a boat. Yeah. I want to be able to look out at the sunset every night, think about you. When I come up to Minnesota, I want to go to St. Paul and pay homage to the great Herb Brooks statue out there in front of the restaurant. I know what to do when I come up there to the great city of Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, of course.
Yeah. And all Robin wants with this house is a little crown molding, so sign off on that.
Yep.
And just to take her to dinner or maybe a movie 3 times a month, and then you get access to that cash. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you think I married some poor chick? Well, actually, I did, but anyway.
Oh, you're married?
Not
yet. We're engaged. But it's one of those,
That's what I thought.
We're engaged, but we've been engaged for over a year, so it's one of those.
I know.
Pending, where it's still pending.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you got to hide there, Tony, but she's a good one.
I know she is. You think I would be with some slug? Well, I mean, it doesn't. Anyway, now, Paul, one other story on this gambling thing. One thing, why did the Minnesota Twins build a stadium without a dome when they play baseball up there and it's still cold? I know you probably addressed this numerous times.
That's rarely a problem. I mean, first and foremost, that would be a problem in the playoffs, and I know we made the playoffs last year, but that really hasn't been a problem in October baseball. So no, Target Field's the bomb, man.
No, I love it. In fact, the Twins trained right near us here in Fort Myers. The Red Sox and the Twins, they're the two big teams down here in Fort Myers, right across the bridge from us. Lovely ballpark, and the fans are great, and obviously Rocco Baldelli. You got to love Rocco Baldelli, right?
Yeah, he's cool. I've only had him on the radio show once. I don't get out to the Twins as much as I do other teams because that's the racetrack. That's the race calling part of the year.
Yep.
Then the bikes roll in August. I mean, I follow them from afar. I like baseball. I've never really loved baseball. Like of the core 4, it'd be number 4 for me with pro sports. But this is an interesting little squad. And then you say the gambling thing. I assume you mean Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Pete Rose has got to be saying, "Wait a minute." At least I did it at the end of my career when I was, looking, and I had a little bet slip, and I call my guy. That's the biggest story in sports right now. Obviously, the tournament's huge, but now the Dodgers are in a situation where they got to try to figure out how they're going to put this thing to rest without having to have an investigation or suspend a guy. I mean, it's a crazy story, and it happened like that. We were talking the other day about he's the biggest name in baseball. He's a must-see guy no matter what city he goes to, and now, boom, luckily they have a week to go back before they, open at home, but this is an unbelievable story.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse. So, and that really is the A topic with these sports, whether they talk about it or not. I mean, the NFL has some superficial to it in that, they will take, X amount of advertising dollars and partner up, so to shack up, partner up, however you want to put it, with gambling entities, but then, Calvin Ridley, Jamison Williams, the contracts or the things that those of us, working. I don't get paid by the team to call games, but I get paid by KFan and iHeartRadio. But the ancillary stuff I do for them via the worst $10.99 you're ever going to see. But nevertheless, I still sign all the same contractual stuff during the season everybody does. And I mean, it's unbelievable if you step foot in a casino, man. I mean, not even make a bet, just like be seen in one during the season. So there's that there. And then what's going to happen here with baseball? It's just something's coming to a head here with all this, and I think the Ohtani situation is going to magnify a lot of things where people have kind of known things have happened, but they just haven't had the courage or wherewithal to look into it.
Yeah, this is super big time. And you mentioned the NFL cracked down on guys for making a couple of bets, and they've obviously been the one who's punished their players more than any other league.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
so now we'll see what happens.
And Tony, you mentioned the name Pete Rose.
Yep.
I mean, this is, it might make us laugh, but it was kind of sad when it happened. But I mean, when I was working in Santa Anita, okay, as a newspaper writer for the Pasadena Star News, 89 to 93, covering horse racing and high school sports in Southern California. And, Pete Rose had gone through everything with the betting and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know if my man was broke or not, but like he would be out at Santa Anita a fair amount. We would see him out there a lot.
Yep.
And, playing pick sixes and stuff. And it's, I can't remember exactly when it was, but like I saw him lose one time and he got mad. And I swear there was a table and like 5 chairs. I swear when I saw him move that table to the grandstand apron with those chairs, and I didn't know what was in the duffel bag he had. I sure know it wasn't cash. I thought he was going to whip out some baseballs and like start signing them, saying, "Okay, and anybody got 100, 200 here, so I can get in this pick 5? I'll sign this baseball for you." It just the Pete Rose situation, man.
Yeah.
It just got a little sad at the end of this scenario.
Well, PA, we really appreciate your time.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Say hi to everybody in Minnesota. If you got any good pick sixes, I need some horse act. I need some horse knowledge.
You love action.
I love the action.
We'll have to do that off the air.
Yeah, you love action. What? You know what? Let's make a bit out of something this summer. All right. At Canterbury, when we begin in a couple of months, we're eventually going to be racing Thursday and Saturday nights.
All right.
So we'll begin at 6 o'clock Tony Bruno time in the evening, and then Sunday afternoon.
All right, I got a hard out, Paul.
Let's stay in touch.
This is my only hard out. I want to thank you, man. You know I love you. Thanks for coming on.
I want to throw your name in a race call because I love you. Bye, Robin.
Thank you. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. PA on the mic, Paul Allen in Minnesota. We thank everybody for listening today. Keep watching those games all night. Keep firing, as my boy, the Philly Godfather, would say. I'm about to bang 2 parlays at the same time, man. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. And God bless America, even though we're
and join us tomorrow, same time.
We'll be doing it again, baby. And again and again, and then take a nap and then do it again. And, see what the staying power is, and then go to the bathroom. And you know what I mean.
This life has a straight edge on it, so it's very easy, maybe, in our world here, to live a happy little mountain.
You're listening to Tony Bruno Sports Network.
Bye, everybody on social. I know that y'all are on. I feel like what was it? What was that? The teacher. Goodbye to Rumble. Goodbye to Twitter.
Hi. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you tomorrow.
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Me too.